has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom.
The minority has followed recent discussion on a lithium agreement signed between the Akufo-Addo-led government and Barari DV Ghana Limited, a unit of the Sydney-based company, to enable it commence operation and mining of lithium at a Woya in the central region for 15 years. Ladies and gentlemen, as you may be aware, Article 268, and let me re-emphasize, Article 268 of the 1992 Constitution is explicit, and it states that any transaction, including but not limited to the application for a license to exploit a natural resource, requires prior parliamentary approval. On this note, I want to make it loud and clear and succinct and explicit that the agreement between the government of Ghana and Barari DV should be laid before Parliament without delay. And let me assure the people of Ghana that the minority would not let you down. We would scrutinize the agreement. We would not allow this agreement to be rushed through. We would seek the guidance, the involvement of civil society. We will speak to important personalities, including former Chief Justice, Justice Sofai Akufu, who has been vocal on this lithium agreement. The new order is lithium. Lithium is more profitable than gold. Lithium is more profitable than diamond. And the world order is moving to this green mineral. And so the minority would insist that Ghana benefits from this resource, and that the terms and agreements, if they are not in the interest of Ghana, the minority would kick against that. But let me re-echo and re-emphasize that we demand that the Akufo-Addo-led government tables or lay this agreement before Parliament without delay. And let me also caution Barari that any attempt to commence mining without parliamentary approval would be illegal. And I also want to caution officials of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, as well as the Minerals Commission, that they have no authorization to allow Barari to commence mining of lithium without parliamentary approval, as well as other necessary approvals such as EPA, license, and the rest. But we insist that this agreement ought to be laid before Parliament without delay. And let me caution that a future NDC government, on assumption of office on the 7th of January 2025, all mining licenses that have not met the necessary parliamentary approval, we will do the proper thing and ensure that they cease until they get the right approval from Parliament.
It will be recalled that the policy statement presented to Parliament last year considered the option of establishing an entity along the lines of the Ghana Integrated Aluminium Development Corporation, GIADEC, and the Ghana Integrated Iron and Steel Development Corporation, GISDEC. However, the volumes of the mineral we have currently and our quest to ensure optimal benefit for the exploitation of this mineral meant that that option was not feasible for several considerations. Firstly, globally, only China has an end-to-end lithium value chain. This is why we have instituted in this transaction the retention of a significant part of the value chain, which we will work systematically to eventually construct here in our country the full value chain for lithium. But as we have said, We will not export lithium in its raw form. Everything we have done in respect of this transaction and all the measures we have put in place in respect of this particular transaction will mean that Ghana's lithium resources will not be exported in their raw state. That is why the mining lease includes provisions for the establishment of a refinery and the provision of the use of other linkages to support local industries in Ghana. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, in everything we have done with this mining lease, in all humility and modesty, the interest of the Ghanaian people has been paramount. It has been months of thorough negotiations and hard work in respect of this transaction. Nothing has been agreed to casually. Everything has been thought through and everything has been worked out and all the options have been considered. And what we've arrived at is in the ultimate interest of the good people of Ghana. I say it is the first time in the history of our country that we have successfully negotiated for 10% royalties for any mineral, which is one of the highest for exploitation of any mineral across the globe. We have already secured a 19% state participation in this mining company, 19%, with a requirement to scale it up to a minimum of 30% Ghanaian participation through listing on the Ghana Stock Exchange for shares to be made available to Ghanaians and Ghanaian entities. What this simply will mean is that when it is all over, Barari DV Limited, the holder of this mineral right of lithium, Ghanaian and state participation will be 30%. Foreign participation will be a maximum of 70%, but Ghanaian participation will be a minimum of 30%. This has never happened in the history of our country in respect of any mineral. Never. Ladies and gentlemen, and for the first time in the history of our country, a mining lease contains provisions for the establishment of a refinery, that is value addition and beneficiation. This mining lease has provision which insists that a refinery will be established here in Ghana for processing of this lithium, this mineral.
Honorable members, at the end of the head count, ayes 138, noes 136, absent 1. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Honorable members, this House has accordingly approved the budget statement and economic policy of the government for the year ending 31st December 2024.
Well, hello, welcome back to Talk Time. And I indicated from the very beginning that we're going to do something special. And we're going to be talking to an extraordinary personality. We're going to be looking at the movement for change. What is this movement? What are the possibilities open to this movement? How is this movement going to intervene in the affairs of Ghana and so on? And we are particularly privileged to have with us in the studio the man himself, Mr. Alan Chomati. Sir, you're welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much, Kwesi.
Yes, sir.
Nice to see you.
Pleased to meet you.
Okay.
Now, sir, this movement for change, yes, it's a movement, but what is it really? What are its objectives? What is it seeking to do?
Thank you very much, Kwesi, for this opportunity to have this conversation. We've been talking over a long period of time, but I think it's appropriate that now we get into this conversation.
He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning on the Mother of All Talk Shows, Alhaji and Alhaji. We are live from the studios of Pan-African Television. We are live on many radio stations across this country. And of course, on radio, we are live on Radio Gold 90.5 FM, your power station. Thank you for choosing us. I am Sena Nombo. This morning, we will go to Tamale first, because hopefully by this time, the march in solidarity with Palestine would have started. And because yesterday, recall that just about a week ago, there was a ceasefire in place. That ceasefire was breached, ended, and fighting has continued. The conflict has continued, and Gaza is the center of attention. But that's not all. Israeli forces are now entering West Bank. They have another battle with Hezbollah in Lebanon, and there are fears that it will spread to other parts of the Middle East. So yesterday, the UN Secretary General attempted to get the UN Security Council to vote for a ceasefire. That failed because the United States vetoed what the UN Secretary General proposed. So there's no ceasefire in place, and the fighting continues. The assault on Gaza continues, and the assault on the West Bank also continues. Well, we'll talk about that and the march in solidarity with the people of Palestine, and then we'll move on to another discussion. And this time around is about the new Patriotic Party. Well, their flag bearer just recently elected, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, went before the National Council of the party. He was supposed to present his choice of running mates. But instead, what we were told is that he's asked for more time to make a decision. And he's been given that time to go ahead and choose who should be his running mates. And then we'll conclude with the fate of Ghana's power sector. Because there was a threat on Monday which was carried out initially by Sunon Asogli. They shut down their power plants because of unpaid arrears with government. And government moved swiftly because Sunon Asogli has 10% of our total power, installed power. They hold currently 10%. And if you come to Temal, they are around 15%. So government moves swiftly because they are a major player on the market. But what will be the signal to other IPPs? And what would they do to get their monies? Their own huge sums of money that have been paid to them for power supplied. So those are the three issues we'll be talking about this morning. And joining me this morning for this discussion, let me start from my right, Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, Comrade Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed. Sitting right by him is the Deputy National Women's Organizer of the National Democratic Congress, Jifatega. Nowadays, you see her once in a blue moon. Good morning. It's nice to see you. And of course, Solomon also. I don't know why you never wear yellow.
It will come when
It will come.
at appropriate time. It will come at appropriate time.
Well, they held a huge match in Kumasi last weekend, and it was the center of attention when this week began. Solomon also is a member of Alan for President 2024. Solomon, good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
And of course, Comrade Bernard Mona is a former national chairman of the People's National Convention. Good morning, Comrade.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. Well, let's start with the solidarity march in Tamale, in solidarity with the suffering of the people of Palestine. And I start from my right with Comrade Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed. Good morning once again, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, Sana. I'm wondering why you started with me. And good morning to my sister, my good friend, and my kid brother, Bernard Mona. and good morning to the cherished viewers of Pan-Africa TV and Alhaji, and most importantly, the good people of Tamale Central. I really would have loved to be there, but you understand the work we're doing in Parliament currently. In fact, yesterday we left Parliament very, very late, and numbers matter at this material moment, so you can't move an inch. Sana, it is important for me to put in context this whole issue of Palestine. In fact, the right pronunciation is Philistine, Palestine and Israel. It is also important for me to state that Israel is an apartheid state. Israel was the creation of the British and subsequently supported by the Americans. And the only right of claim that the Israelis have on that land is because they believe that they were promised by their God that land is their land. That's how they believe. So what it means is that tomorrow, and I'm using this example carefully, you find some Buddhists in China, or some Hindus in India, or some Zoroastrianists who think that their God promised them that the land Ghana belongs to them. And they have the military might, and then they come, sack everybody, and stay in Ghana. I think it's just ridiculous. But I want to put in context the whole idea and why I said that it was the creation of the British supported by the Americans. Between 1517 to 1917, the entire land which is described as Philistine and the land that is annexed and occupied with a brute apartheid regime by Israel, including Jordan and some parts of Middle East, were all ruled by the Ottomans, that is the Ottoman Empire. But the First World War, indeed, and dramatically altered, if you like, the geopolitical landscape of the area. And mind you, when the First World War ended in 1918, and the so-called Allied forces became victorious, the over 400-year rule of the Ottoman Empire, you can say today Turkey, of the Ottoman Empire collapsed, and the British took over that land. The idea to have a Jewish state started with a gentleman called James Arthur Balfour, who was the Foreign Secretary of the United Kingdom, and he submitted a letter of intent that they should create a Jewish state in a place called Philistine. But mind you, even before that, there was a Zionist conference, and they proposed to establish the Jewish state in two countries in Africa. One present-day Uganda and present-day Kenya. So the idea that it was God who said they should be there, why did they initially propose to establish a Jewish state in present-day Kenya and present-day Uganda, if indeed it was God who promised them? But let me also make this point very clearly. If you are anti-Zionist, you are not anti-Jews. And let's get this very, very clearly. And who are the Semites? If you criticize the state of Israel, you are quickly called anti-Semite. The Arabs are also Semites. Both the Arabs and the Jews are all Semites. So the idea of when you criticize the state of Israel, it makes you an anti-Semitic, for me, is ridiculous. So what it therefore means is that when you criticize Arabs or Palestinians, then one can say that you are also anti-Semitic. And I think that point ought to be made, and made very, very clearly. Both Jews and the Arabs are cousins. And if you want to look at it in the aspects of religion, both Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, they all trace their root to one grandfather, which is Abraham. The Muslims, through the lineage of Abraham, trace it to Ishmael. Christians trace it to Jesus Christ. And the Jews trace it to Isaac. So if you look at both the Bible narration, both the Torah, the narration in the Torah, which is the scripture that the Jews use, and both the Quranic narration, which the Muslims use, they all traced their grandfather to Abraham. And the descendants of Abraham produce these prophets. And they all trace it. So if you look at it strictly speaking, they are all cousins. So there is a difference between Judaism, or if you like, Israel, the Zionism, and Judaism. Zionism is not Judaism. Judaism is the religion. So you can be a Zionist, but you are not a Jew. Or you are not a believer of Judaism. And you don't necessarily need to be a Jew to believe in the religion Judaism. Are you getting what I'm saying? You can have a Ghanaian who is a Jew, who believes in Judaism. He believes in the religion, but he doesn't believe in the state of Israel. Because the religion is completely distinct from, strictly speaking, the followers of that religion. Islam was brought to mankind through Prophet Muhammad. That is, I mean, Muslims, we believe that all the religions, they all practice Islam, because Islam means, peace and submission to the will of God. However, I am not an Arab, but I prefer to Islamic religious faith. My sister here, my brother here, they are not Jews, but they prefer to the religion which was brought through by somebody. In fact, Jesus was not. In fact, if you look at his, strictly speaking, was a Palestine. Because within Palestine, you had Jews, you had Christians, you had Muslims who lived together in peace and harmony for centuries. But we cannot go through the history entirely, but I just want to set the basis, the religious context, because there is complete misunderstanding of people who today, particularly, and I say this with all the seriousness, who think that when the Bible says the promised land, the Bible was referring to the present day Zionist state we have in Israel, which is completely different. And again, I have heard people who say, Christians, unfortunately, we must support Israel when they are killing Christians. The Israelis don't believe in Christianity. As a matter of fact, in Israel, they describe Christianity as idol worshippers. And in fact, I have a video, and I remember I shared some video with you, where people were interviewed on the street of Tel Aviv, that between a church and a mosque, as a Jew, where would you prefer to go to have your wedding? And almost everybody who was interviewed said they would prefer to do it in a mosque than in a church. And the reason is that they think that church, that they are idol worshippers. Muslims don't think that Christians are idol worshippers. As a matter of fact, they refuse to recognize Jesus Christ as the Messiah. And they still do not recognize him as the Messiah. Bamia is he's a character, different character will come to him. But Muslims recognize Jesus Christ as the Messiah. Yeah. That is the distinct difference. Muslims recognize that Jesus Christ was a prophet. The only part of distinction is where we have the Trinity, where Muslims believe that Jesus Christ could not be the same person as God, the Holy Spirit, and then the Son. That's where we have a distinction. However, Muslims recognize that Jesus Christ was a prophet, and that's why Dr. Bomia got it completely wrong. part of the articles of faith is one to believe that there is only one God, which is Allah, or God, or Nyami, or Nauni, or Yahweh, or anything you can call it, depending on the ethnic group or the language you speak. However, we all believed, as part of the articles, having believed in this and believed that Prophet Muhammad was a messenger and a slave of Allah, you must believe in all prophethood. All Muslims believe in all prophethood. That you cannot call a Muslim if you don't believe in all the prophets, including Jesus. Where Dr. Bamia got it wrong is what we don't believe Jesus Christ as Christians believe him. We believe him as a prophet of God, just like Muhammad. But the Christians will look at it in the Trinity. But my view is that current day Israel, if you go to Israel today, you have 73% of Israelis being Jews. You have 1.9% of Israelis being Christians. You have 12% of Israelis being Muslims. And when I say Israel, those who live in what? In Israel and under the laws of Israel. So you have just 1.9%. And you have others who believe in a religion called, is it Druze? Or is it the Druze? Now, if you come to Palestine, you have 93% of them being Muslims. You have 6% of Palestinians being Christians. Now, so when Israel is bombing, they are killing, they don't have a distinction between who is a Muslim or who is a religion. The Israelis don't see their conflict with Palestine as a religious one. The Palestinians don't see their conflict with Israel as a religious one. It is only those of us who are outside that territory who try to analyze it and look at it in the lenses of what? Religion. But the very people, the actors in this unfortunate conflict, do not see it in that perspective. Now, if you look at currently with this, what we are experiencing today, apart from all that they did, in 1947, when the Israeli state was created, and they came with a proposal to have a two-state solution, and that two-state where they were proposing to give about 57% of the land to those who occupied the territory, the Arabs said, no, we will not agree. And subsequently, you had Israel, which was declared independent in 1948, and the first country, less than 24 hours, to recognize the independence of Israel, which was a complete violation of every international norm, was America. That was what they did. Now, and that was the beginning of the chaos that we have had. The moment Israel declared an independent state in 1948, what did the Israelis do? They went and burnt villages and killed Palestinians and drove them away from the land they lived in for centuries. And about 750,000 of them moved to present-day Gaza, the Gaza Strip. So majority of the people who live in Gaza Strip are if you like, what's the name? Refugees. So you are a refugee in your own country. So after they killed hundreds of thousands, 750,000 of them moved to Gaza Strip. Now, if the argument is that the conflict has to do with the Israelis' unwillingness to sit side by side with what's the name, the Arabs or the Palestinians unwilling to sit side by side with the Israelis, or if the argument is being made that the whole killing that we experience today started on October 7th, and that the killing is targeting Hamas, how about West Bank? There's no single Hamas in West Bank. How about that place? Over 200 people were killed in West Bank before even the October 7th. As we see today, every single resolution that is geared towards ensuring that there is peace, that resolution is being frustrated or vetoed by either United Kingdom or America. That is what we experience today. By either United States or America. Now again, we had a resolution currently. That resolution, mind you, was a resolution that was put forward by the UN Secretary General himself, where he triggered an article, and this was the 4th time or the 3rd time since the creation of the United Nations that the Secretary General would trigger a resolution to ensure that there is ceasefire. You know what the reason America gave for being the only country that voted? Because you have 15 member states. 13 countries indeed voted for it, including France, including China, including Russia. And you had United Kingdom, which abstained. And the United States of America voted against it, the only country. And the reason they gave was that the proper consultation was not done and that they didn't add the language that condemned Hamas. I ask you a simple question. If an armed robber comes to your house, enters into your children's room, and then you come with a gun, the armed robber is in the room with your children, and the armed robber threatens that I'm not coming, or you know that the armed robber is there with your children, you want to kill the armed robber, so you bomb the entire room. Now it's been established, and to woo people, the first reportage was that people were beheaded. The babies, about 40 babies, were beheaded by Hamas. And the women were raped. To the extent that, rather sadly and shamelessly, President Biden himself echoed this lie only for the person who reported that to backtrack. That someone told her, that journalist. To the extent that the idea of the Israeli government themselves said that story is not true. That no 40 babies were beheaded. Nobody was raped. Yet that is the narrative that is pushed down our throat to justify the barbarous murder of thousands. As we see today, over 20,000 have been killed, half of them being children. Because Palestine has more than half of the Palestinian people are children. The lifespan there is extremely low, that even if you live in West Bank, that territory, you live within Israel because it is part of Israel, you are not governed under the same laws. When an Israeli commits a crime, that Israeli is prosecuted in a civil court. When a Palestinian commits the same crime, that Palestinian is prosecuted through a military court under the same Israeli government. Now, you say that Israel is the only democracy within the Middle East. Palestine conducted elections. And when they conducted the elections, the Hamas won overwhelmingly. America and the West said no. So it's just like we have an elections in Ghana. And one political party wins the election. And you have external force that says that no, we don't recognize the elections you have. Why is it that the West is not interested in seeing elections in the Middle East, in part of the Middle East, in Saudi Arabia, in Bahrain, in Qatar? Why are they not interested in seeing that there is elections there? The democracy they are pushing down our throat, which they think that is the best democracy. Why are they not interested in the democracies there? Because we are all made to believe that their system of government is the best, failing to realize that there are other systems of government used by other countries which ensures proper living conditions of their people. And those countries I have mentioned, they do not practice this democracy, yet those countries are peaceful, lifespan in those countries are higher, the living conditions of the people in those areas are higher. So Sana, to be very honest with you, to stand with Palestine, it is not and has nothing to do with religion. It has to do with humanity. And that is why Jewish community, thousands of Jews in America are demonstrating in support of the Palestinians. The demonstrations that we have seen on the streets of Western countries, almost 100% of those who engage in such demonstrations have nothing to do with Islam. In any case, as we see today, part of the destruction, the third oldest church in the world was bombed in Palestine. The third oldest church in the world. Do you think that it was fighting for a religion? Because that is not the lenses at which the Israelis see it or the Palestinians see it. They see their conflict as a conflict that has to do with land. Now you have our president, very recklessly, very irresponsibly, who traveled to the to the United States of America, and said that myself and the people of Ghana stand with Israel. That's what the president said. Mr. President, we don't stand with Israel. Ghana has a long-standing foreign relation or foreign policy position when it comes to Israel. In fact, Africa has a long-standing relation when it comes to Palestine and Israel. And the reason why is that we have all had experiences of subjugation and colonization. We've all had that. So when we were colonized, we didn't experience the kind of killing these people are experiencing. In fact, after the Second World War, when the Ghanaians who were taken to fight in a war that had nothing to do with them, and the promises that were made to those ex-servicemen of basic needs that were promised to be provided by the so-called colonial masters, when they came and they reneged on that, they started marching towards the castle. There was a military leader, a British military leader by name Major Emery, who ordered the gun down of those ex-service men, Ghanaians who were demanding that certain promises you made be fulfilled. And that gave birth to the 1948 riot. So any group of persons who are subjugated the manner those people are subjugated, you would act just like they are acting. That's the point. Any group of persons. I am telling you, if we never had independence, and the so-called colonial masters were going to continue subjugating us and killing us like they did when they gunned down those ex-servicemen, Ghanaians would have been worse off Hamas, because you would resist. And anybody who is resisting colonization, apartheid is described as a terrorist. Mandela was described as a terrorist. Tell me any freedom fighter in the world who was not described as a terrorist. So it is very clear that there are huge deposits of minerals in Gaza. And to be very honest, before the 7th of October, at the UN General Assembly, President Netanyahu, that barbarous murderer, in addressing the international community, the entire world, showed a map of Israel that was completely exclusive of Palestine. Palestine was not in that map. So this was premeditated. If you understand the dynamics and the security intricacies of the area, there is no any reason to believe that Hamas could have planned that and executed that and nobody knew. There is no any reason to believe. Now, it's been reported by journalists and media houses in Israel that the killing that took place at the festival, that 99% of them were killed by Israelis when they came with helicopters and bombed those people. Let me be very clear. I condemned the killing of anybody anywhere in the world, whether in Israel or in Palestine, ought to be condemned. But I'm saying that with all the killings, over 20,000 people who have been killed, they haven't killed up to 20 Hamas. They haven't done that. No, so if you haven't done that, and you are killing these numbers, regardless whether religion or any, you are killing. The reason why you invaded, you went in to kill, and you haven't been able to kill the people who you claimed or who indeed perpetrated the heinous crime against you, have you achieved your objective? And I'll conclude on this. Everybody in this world, particularly the Jews, have reminded us of the barbarous murder of 6 million Jews. Everybody sympathizes with them. Everybody agrees that the murder, the barbarous murder, the Holocaust, by the Germans, the Nazi Germans, is condemnable. Sadly and unfortunately, all the killings that happened to them, the Arabs never participated in those killings. Palestinians never participated in those killings. And when they were killed in Poland, in Russia, in Germany, when they were killed in these areas, particularly Poland and in Germany, the people who opened their arms and said, come and stay with us, you are our cousins, were the Palestinians. They said, come and stay with us. And they have been living. You had Jews who lived in Morocco, you had Jews who lived in Algeria, you have Jews who live in Iraq prior to the establishment of the Zionist state. And they have been living together for centuries because, like I said earlier, they are all cousins. And Senna, as a Muslim, I'll tell you why, and I'll explain this, why Muslims feel extremely and emotionally attached to the problem in Palestine. Maybe perhaps people need to appreciate this. There are 3 most important mosques in Islam. One, the mosque in Mecca. 2, the second most important is the mosque in Medina. The third most important is Beit al-Aqsa, the mosque in Palestine. So Muslims are emotionally attached to it. So Muslims feel that when it is attacked, it is the entire religion which is attacked. You may disagree with Muslims feeling, that's fine. But Islam also teaches us, and that is, and I'm saying this as a Muslim, that in fact the Holy Prophet last sermon, his last address to the Muslim Ummah, he said, look, every Muslim is a brother to another Muslim. Your wives are not slaves to you, and they are not subservient to you. They are equal in partners. Treat them like you treat yourself. Protect them. Provide their needs. Don't treat them like they are second fiddle. But what is important is that whatever happens to any Muslim anywhere in the world affects any Muslim anywhere in the world. And Martin Luther King, who was a Christian, said that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice anywhere. Because what we are experiencing today, Ukraine, a classical example. Russia was berated. The ICC indeed declared President Putin as a candidate for criminal prosecution. Now, the international community, particularly the Western world, quickly condemned Russia, providing arms to Ukraine to defend themselves because they have been occupied. Sadly, they are all in absolute state of incommunicado. President Biden and that Indian descent of President in the United Kingdom, they are active participants in the genocide we are experiencing today. They are active participants in the destruction of mosques, churches, even including synagogues. They are active participants in unaliving kids whose crime is only that they live in a territory called Philistine. Kids who do not even know whether they are Palestinians or not. Because when you kill a child, at that age, that child doesn't even know his nationality or her nationality. In killing tens of journalists, every action of Israel as we experience today is a genocide. And the reason why men and women of conscience, regardless their religious backgrounds and faith, stand with Palestine is because we are human beings, first and foremost. It is not about the religion. We are human beings. That when there is similar killing anywhere, it doesn't matter the religion those people belong to. The people with conscience will stand by them. And that is why that reckless statement which was made by President Nanado, without having the decency to apologize to the people of this country, because you cannot go and make such declaration for and on behalf of the people of this country without our knowledge. Because mind you, any statement that is made by any sitting president and its foreign relations with other states becomes a foreign policy position of that country. A single statement. But it is not surprising. The same Buza Danko tradition, unfortunately, Buza went to the OAU Assembly and voted in support of apartheid South Africa. The same Buza. Against even the position taken by Parliament at the time, including members of Parliament of that tradition who were against the position taken. Maybe there is something with the MPP. Whoever becomes the president under the UP or the Buza Danko tradition, they live in their own world. My concluding statement. As a Muslim, I am made to understand as a direction of the religion that when the people of the book slaughter or when they cook, I can eat. And Islam described the people of the book as religions that came with book. As a matter of fact, if you take the Quran, mention is made about Jesus more than the name mentioned Muhammad in the Quran. There are statements in the Quran, Sana, which are attributed to Prophet Muhammad, may the blessings and peace of Allah be upon him. But the name Muhammad is mentioned in the Quran only 5 times. And the name Isa, which is Jesus, is mentioned in the Quran 25 times. As a matter of fact, when the Holy Prophet got prophethood, when he went to a mountain called Mount Hira, and angel Gabriel or Jibril descended upon him and asked him, read. That is what Muslim, that's the first revelation. Surah Al-Iqra, that read in the name of thy Lord who teaches man what he knew not. You know, when he commanded him to read, and he got frightened and rushed home, his wife, Khadija. Khadija said, the Lord you worship will not forsake you. And took him to her uncle. That uncle was a Christian monk. And his name was called Waraka bin Naufal. And the Christian monk said, you have been predicted by the Bible. When Muslims were persecuted in Mecca, and mind you, every prophet or everyone descended by God is persecuted and rejected by his own people. When Muslims were persecuted in Mecca and they needed to have comfort where they would run away from the persecution, they went to Abyssinia, present-day Ethiopia. King Najashi was a Christian emperor. He was the one who accepted them and provided them with protection. And they practiced Islam in Abyssinia with peace. And he said, go and tell Prophet Muhammad he can come and practice his religion here with peace. It was King Najashi. So that is why I was hurt. When President Muhammad, in the presence of the chief imam, quoted hadiths of the Holy Prophet, and hadiths are the sayings of the Prophet. Quran are the words of Allah. Hadiths are the sayings of the Prophet, and the Sunnah are the practices of the Prophet. And the hadiths are divided into three: Sahih, Hasan, and Daif, the most authentic, depending on the trace of narration. President Muhammad quoted hadith which is Sahih. When Dr. Baumia, who is a Muslim, when he got up, the only thing he did was to mock President Muhammad. Where was the religious groupings in this country? Where were they, those bunch of hypocrites, that they didn't condemn that statement? Because there is nothing that unites us than our ability to tolerate each other's view and each other's religion. That's right. In Legon, I took Bible knowledge 1 year, and I pride myself. I tell people that I have read the Bible more than many Christians. I believe in some pastors. 1 year, and in fact, I got A+ and A- for the 2 semesters. I took it for 1 year. You know the reason? I wanted to have an appreciation of that faith. Because the moment you begin to have appreciation of each other's religion, you begin to respect the standpoint of those who practice that religion. Because I needed to do that. So at any point in time, and I know that my religion in Islam, the Quran talks about the Torah, the things Abraham, Moses, and others did, and talks about prophet. In fact, the Quran talks about those prophets, few about Prophet Muhammad. In fact, if you take the Bible, and I will challenge my sister and my brother here, the first miracle the Bible talked about Jesus Christ was when he turned water to wine. In Islam, the first miracle of Jesus came several years before that, when he spoke in the cradle. In Islam, when he spoke, in Islam, Jesus spoke as a baby. And that is where we recognize as the first miracle. As a matter of fact, when you take the Bible hasn't said anything, and I stand to be corrected, about who Mary's father was. There is a whole chapter in the Quran, Al Imran. Islam talks about his father and talks about the generation. There is a whole chapter, Surah Al-Maryam, dedicated to the mother of Jesus Christ. A whole chapter. So I'm saying that religious tolerance are sine qua non to our cohabiting with each other. And to be very honest, I dare and I challenge anybody that if you want to look at these issues, tell me the reasons. Unfortunately, many people will tell you the reason why they support the barbarism of the Zionist Israel. And I'm not saying Jews, Zionist Israel. The barbarism, they think that it is about religion. It is no religion. It has nothing to do with religion. It has everything to do with colonialism, apartheid, barbarism that is perpetrated against people who are harmless. Today, there is a demonstration, and I can bet my last penny. Just like many other places, we have experienced demonstration against this barbarism. those demonstrations were organized and staged by people who are not Muslims.
Okay.
Comrade Kwesi Pratt is not a Muslim. And the leaders and those who are organizing this march have nothing to do with Islam. And they don't intend even to convert to Islam. They are doing this because they are humans. And so we must all support this, because there is a perpetration of barbarism of one human against another. And the only way we can have that peace and stability, the only way we can live in harmony with each other as people created by God, is when we begin to respect each other. And I'll conclude this one with all seriousness. Allah says in the Quran, I think Surah Al-Hujurat, that I have created you nations and tribes just for identification. And that the best among you is the most pious. That he has created us nations and tribes just for identification. There is nothing uniqueness about the color of your skin, about how you look, about your race. What is important is your faith. And that is why when the Holy Prophet was taken to heavens, and he came out and he said he heard the footstep of somebody. When he asked Angel Gabriel, whose footstep am I hearing? Angel Gabriel said, that is the footsteps of Bilal. Bilal was a black man, darker than myself and you, and he was from Ethiopia. So in the eyes of God, whether in Christianity or in Judaism or in Islam or in whatever religion, the most pious among us, as stated in the Quran,
the best of
it has the best of mankind, or the most faithful. It has nothing to do with your race. So when you have one people subjugate, maiming and killing others, you have a moral duty to stand by the oppressed and not the oppressor.
Thank you very much. Comrade Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed is Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, where the march is happening today. The march in solidarity with Palestine. Just some 2 messages, then I'll move on to Mr. Solomon Owusu. Yusuf Mohammed says some of us do blame the USA for... Okay, first let me jump to Abiy Mandela actually. So instead of this world leaders leading peace negotiations, they are taking sides because it serves their interests. You do not resolve disputes by siding with one party. May they, Israel and Palestine, find a common ground to stop this fight. Blanche Murray says, okay, this one, Honorable Murtala does not need to respond. He says, I'll read his message. Please, Jesus was a Jew. He was...
No, I said Jesus was a Palestine. There is a difference between being a Palestine. I didn't say he was an Arab.
I was coming there.
I said he was a Palestine.
I was coming
there. They
were
Jews, they were Arabs, and they were Palestinian Jews.
Yes. I think he didn't hear you clearly, so I was coming. That's why I said he didn't respond. Yeah, so, Blank Murray, I think you should take note of what he said. He said, so by location, Palestine. But he didn't say he was not a Jew. That one he did not say. BD Jerry is joining us, says, I'm keenly monitoring your discussion. My warm greetings to my brother Solomon Owusu. He's doing fantastic work. Nasir Mohammed says, this whole Israel-Hamas thing is being controlled by America and the Jewish lobby. I despair and don't want this genocidal action on television. The fact that the Arabs came together with America to attack Iraq and Libya and are unable to lift a finger to stop this. They can sacrifice to support their own. So who am I? Abdul Salam Rufai says, a lot of Muslim organizations have declared that they will not vote for Biden in the coming elections. He rushed taking a stand with Israel. Mr. Owusu.
Sir, good morning and good morning to co-panelists. It's always good to be in the midst of two NDC people and then a potential butterfly that would ensure the prosecution of a successful election come 2024 to liberate the people of this country from the current bondage. Let me take this opportunity to thank the hundreds of thousands of people that were on the street of Kumasi last week, exactly a week today, and to assure them that victory will be secured come 2024. The only thing the entire country is looking up to them to do is to remain focused and not to listen to the propaganda that is in the air. That, oh, Ghana is a two-state party, NDC, and NPP. We have moved beyond that. It is these two political parties that have gotten close to 32 years that has visited us to us. The huge and the mass unemployment we are currently experiencing. Israel, Palestine fight. I believe the history that was given by Mutala partly is part of the issue, the problems that is fueling this whole tension. And I wished he did not go in that tangent. I wished he didn't go that tangent because, you see, it is all about propaganda.
Which tangent?
The religious tangent. When you draw in the Muslims and the Christians, people may get you wrong. That the whole fight is about Muslims and Christians who are misunderstanding themselves.
But who said that?
I'm coming. You when I get there, you will understand why I say you shouldn't have even gone into details of explaining using the Quran and the Bible, and so people get all issues of understanding when it comes
to an intellectual discussion. And I sit here to engage in an intellectual discussion. If that is your understanding, that is so sad. We have an intellectual discussion on a matter.
Oh, but
no, please.
But I have not even finished.
No, but the way you started is even wrong. We have an intellectual discussion, and what I said had nothing to do with religious. In fact, I was even calling for religious tolerance and the need for us to have that appreciation.
Can you let him go there? Can you let him go?
Yeah, of course, we don't have the opportunity to.
But you have
no, I wouldn't have the opportunity. But when you go on that tangent, it is important I put bricks because you are going on
that war wasn't a religious war.
You know how this works.
Yeah, I know, but I won't have the opportunity to.
When you come back in the second round, you can even ask. Yeah. So go ahead.
You have decided to truncate whatever I wanted to say.
No, proceed.
You see, this is
go
unfair
ahead.
to me.
Go ahead.
This whole thing is about propaganda. The Israelis or the Jews, for that matter, few of them as such wants to draw the rest of the world into this whole war.
Okay.
And how would they succeed? By pitching Christians against Muslims. So that those of us here, especially the West African sub-region, would go and support one side as against the other.
Please.
Mutala.
No,
Comrade.
is not
So you want me to speak your mind?
No, but
Let him speak his mind.
I cannot imagine that you would have your day in court. You spoke for almost 40 minutes. I have only spoken for just a minute.
No, but
yeah, please.
Israelis
and every statement of mine.
I think everybody listened to you, so let them listen.
Israelis are not Christians, they are Jews.
No, what I'm saying, you are not even listening to
Go ahead, please go.
I am saying that what the Israelis or the Jews, the few of them are doing, is to make it a Christian.
No, they are not.
Please,
They are not.
please, Solomon.
Let Solomon make it.
Can you let him make his point? Please go ahead.
What is the next topic? So that I just stop discussing.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Proceed.
So it is needless. Now, if I were the good people of this country, they will not even push too much into this whole business of Israel, Palestine. You know why? As we speak, Kusasis and Mampusis are fighting. Have you heard any Israeli ambassador issue a statement on Kusasi Mampusi issue? But people are being killed daily. The lives of Mampusis and the lives of Kusasis are so much important. But that does not matter to the world. You understand? And so it is something that all of us must know, that every life matters. I sitting here, honestly, if you ask me why they are fighting, it's more about conquest. They want to capture more lands. That is the basis, the underlying reason. And you know, conquest is a means of acquiring land, and it is recognized in law. So when they use brute to push you out, wouldn't they get the land? But they would justify that or rationalize that by bringing in this religious undertone, so that all of us will be involved. If you listen to the reason for US vetoing the votes yesterday or Friday, what was the reason? They are saying if they decide to vote for a ceasefire, what it means is that they are only postponing the war, and that they must remove Hamas. Can anybody in this world give me the total membership of Hamas, or identify people by face as though that belong to Hamas? The bombs that are flying, how would the US be able to determine that at the end of this war, anyone that belongs to Hamas will be eliminated from this world? It tells you that it's just pure politicking. And you know what they have done? Now they are pushing a lot of people into Egypt, so that at the end of the day, the land that they want to grab, they will get it. And that is why I am calling for those that are pushing the anger of religious undertones, must just leave them. We must take that one out and then call them out for what they are doing. That in your bid to grab more lands, you must not sacrifice more blood for it. What are those individuals, young girls and boys, the kids that in this whole war? What crime have they committed? They haven't done so, but it's to satisfy a certain narrative. And not just the lands. People's political careers are also linked to this whole war. Go to Israel right now. Netanyahu is facing a stiff opposition. They want to get him out. And he believes by sending Israel to war, he would have some level of sympathy. Remember, Bush did it when he took America to war, and then he was voted for. So some of these political strategies, if you don't take care, human lives will be sacrificed for nothing. And you know why US will also not support it? Because Biden also faces a stiff opposition in next year's election. So for him, if the nation is at war, he can use that to also prolong his stay. And that is what we are dealing with. I have been in a business conference that was not part, it had nothing to do with politics. Where young activists in the US, young Americans, not Arab Americans, Americans pure as such, came to the conference and they took on their senators. That whatever was happening in Gaza was unheard of, was needless, and they were very much furious with what America was doing. So it tells you that Americans, not every American that supports it. In the same way, not every Israeli or Palestinian that supports the stance of both Hamas and Israel itself. But here again, it's politics that is underpinning all these things. So if we are going to look at it from a political angle, then we can solve the problem. Now, what is happening in Israel also exposes the weakness in the UN. Now, it has been proven that as a matter of urgency, that body either must be scrapped or it must be reconstituted. Because if you look at the reason for the establishment of the UN, what was it after the Second World War? It was to deal with things like what is happening in Gaza. But if the whole body cannot agree amongst themselves that killing of innocent souls must not be detained, then why must we have that body that is still existing? For me, as a matter of urgency, if I had my own way, it would be scrapped, just like the AU. It's like we just form the unions or whatever for the sake of it. As we speak, Russia is fighting Ukraine. The UN has not been able to intervene. China and Taiwan, it is boiling. No one seems to be talking to each other. Confusion everywhere. Yet we say we have a body that is supposed to regulate the politics in this world. And if you continue on that tangent, where lies or where will peace come from? And that does not interest me at all. When these people fight, the most annoying thing is that those of us that have not done our things well, especially those of us in Ghana, whose economies are so fragile, suffers the brunt of it. Currently, oil prices are beginning to show signs that it may go up because of what is happening there. It is also affecting a lot of airline businesses. Because now, if you check the number of flights that are cancelled to Tel Aviv because of what is happening. People that had business discussions in Tel Aviv or Jerusalem, that because of Hamas and Israeli fighting, they cannot go. You cannot quantify it. And that is why all of us must put our mouth into this whole matter and say enough is enough. But as to whether or not the power players, the people that matter, will listen. Because what is happening in Tamale today is happening across the world. Go to the UK, it has happened. Mass protests on the streets of London. Even in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv itself. A lot of Israelis or Jews that went on the street protesting against killing of innocent souls. Because for them, but for this needless war, they live in harmony. They live in harmony. It's just like when you come to Ghana. When it is not political year, you go to a meeting, you meet NDC and you never see the difference. But let these political campaigning start. I'm telling you, even at Beerba, you can differentiate between NDC and BP. Because then people will be scheming so that there will be that kind of antagonism amongst us. And these are all part of power play, power struggle. And once we, as citizens of this world, identify that politicians will always use it for their parochial interest, the better for all of us. My brother has not helped me this morning. I don't want to go into the angle that I wanted to go, so I'll end my submission. I'll let you go.
Well, I'll come to Comrade Monai next. But before I do that, let me say a big thank you to Shine FM in Akachi on 96.9, Hills FM in Adakulu. They're on 91.7, Yawasi Radio Ketekwachi on 89.7, Sela Radio Dabala 97.1, Diamond FM in Tamale on 93.7, Bawa Radio in Yendi 106.5, Radio Kitawan Saboba 95.7, Benya FM Elmina 105.7, Global FM on 105.1 in Ho, Zeps FM on 95.9 in Zebila, there's True FM 92.5 in Adeso, Lamara FM 89.1 in Tripoli, Buem 88.7 FM in Jessica, and Lukusi 96.1 in Virgo Lokwati, Tyne FM on 90.9, Sekwele FM 104.3. Comrade Mona.
Greetings to you, to Ibrahim Mutala, Mohammed.
Big bro.
Big bro. Had that. Well, I like that. Well, I don't know the kind of solidarity that is taking place, except to hazard that it's an NDC solidarity. And that will not change the fact that you remain our kid brother and that we are proud of you. And so I am proud of your achievements. I am proud of your stance on issues as a kid brother. Take that and move. Jaffa and to Solomon, the butterfly that was born by the elephant. Today, the people of Tamale are speaking. They are speaking on issues of international policy and what the rest of the world has been speaking on. Today, ordinary men and women are rising in solidarity with the people of Palestine. And this is not an event in Accra. This is an event in Tamale. That the people of the northern region will see that there is a universal, useless nonsense that is taking place that they want to correct, requires us to commend them. To commend first the organizers for putting up such a classic show of solidarity. They couldn't have done it better. And Murtala could not have put it any less than to say, and to quote Martin Luther King Jr., that when there is injustice anywhere, it's a threat to justice everywhere. And what the people of Tamale are telling the rest of the world, that injustice is being perpetrated by the United States of America through the Israelites on the people of Palestine. And that madness must stop. This madness is not just, look, a few weeks ago or days ago, a few days ago, leading into the weeks, there was some useless thought by the globe that we need to support the people of Gaza with aid. They cannot get water. They cannot get fuel to power generators. They don't have food to eat. So let's pause killing these people and supply them with water, give the wounded medicine, give them generators, so a fuel, and get them food to eat. After that pause, a world that says that you are reasonable, say that you have taken enough water, so now we are coming to bombard and kill you again. You understand why I said that there's universal madness? So look, we are in a battle. They say, no. Solomon is about dying of thirst. Jifa is about dying of hunger. Murtala is about dying because he had sustained a gunshot. So let's pause so that we can give Solomon water, we can give Jifa food, we can give some medicine to Murtala. After we have given them, then we say that, okay, now you are ready to die, so we are coming to kill you. You just don't understand where this level of madness is coming from. And this madness is supported by the United States of America. In fact, not supported, it's initiated by the United States of America. This is something that all of us have to resist. The Netanyahu government is a very unpopular government, even within Israel. See, Netanyahu is not in talks, right? He doesn't like the Minister for Defense. The Minister for Defense doesn't like the Minister for Foreign Affairs. But they can come together to go and kill the people of Palestine. What sense is in this? And the shocker is that Egypt will now provide the fodder and say, we are opening our bridge so people can cross in and cross out. Really? This is what you want to do? Murtala went into the genesis of this matter. Look, when the people of the Jews were killed, they were scattered, it became a universal call. Did the world not force Germany to pay reparation for the Holocaust? Has Germany not paid and continue to apologize for the sins of their forebears? Germany did that. After that, what was it? The Jewish people were scattered. They were people without land. So they were looking for, scouting for places. Murtala, 3 places initially were suggested. Uganda, Kenya, and Chile were the places that they needed to get. Then the British said that no, they have a hole in Palestine. So they will give them a small stretch to settle them so that they can call their home. So the crime of the Palestinian people is that they offered humanity to the people of Israel, and today they are paying a brutal price. They are paying a terrible price. And come to 1992, when Bill Clinton tried to broker peace by the two-state solution, 81% of the land was agreed to be for the people of Palestine. It was only 19% that was in dispute. And the Palestinians said, you came and we gave you our land, so you cannot even take 19%. You must agree that it is for us, and we gave you a portion. It is the 19% that the Arabs, or you can call it Yasser Arafat and co, were not in agreement with. That no, you didn't come with any land. Because we know you were scouting for land in Uganda. So if you had gotten the land in Uganda, you would have taken the entire Uganda to say that it is for you. If you had succeeded in getting a portion in the Pokot region of Kenya, you would have said that today the entire Kenya is for you. Or if you had succeeded in getting a place in Chile, could you have claimed that it is for you? We agree that we are settlers and we settle you. That was the bone of contention. That was the bone of contention then. That did not lead to the two-state solution. Fast forward, Yasser Arafat died in 2004. I think 11th of November, as Solomon provided me. When Yasser Arafat died, the United States of America and the United Kingdom refused to recognize any leadership in Palestine and insisted that they must go through a democratic election to determine their new leadership. Hamas is a political party. Hezbollah is a political party. Fatah is a political party. If you go to Afghanistan, the Taliban is a political party. Take note. These are political parties that have been turned as a radical institution and have been branded terrorist groups. So when they did the elections 2007, 2008 in Palestine, Hamas won the elections. This was under the pressure of the United States and the United Kingdom. The Hamas people, or the Hamas as a political party, won the elections. The United States said that they will not recognize Hamas as the legitimate leaders of Palestine. Who is talking about democracy here? You said that the people should go and subject themselves to the electorate, to the citizens to determine. They go and the citizens choose Hamas as a political party as opposed to Fatah. Then you say, no, 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 no. If it is Hamas, we will not allow Hamas to become the legitimate leaders of Palestine. And since then, 2008, it has always been this back and forth, this back and forth, and this back and forth. Within the same period, natural gas has been discovered in Palestine, in the Gaza Strip. The United States of America is very much aware that, look, the people of Gaza in particular are friends to the Iranians. So they will look for Iranian support to harness and to harvest their natural gas. The Iranians are proximate to the Russians. The United States of America does not want natural gas to be tapped in Gaza, so that the Iranians can come and work on it, so that the Russians can benefit. And so they want to take control of that natural gas. That is the battle that is taking place in the Gaza. It is not about the people of Gaza or Hamas attacking Israel. So it is a struggle for the resources of the people of Palestine. And that is why it comes to me with pain that you have some of our African leaders, President Nana Akufo-Addo, who knows very well that our independence had to be fought because the colonialists were all but for the interest of the resources that we have and nothing more, not for our advancement. Do you understand? And so We have gone through colonialism. They came, they took our land and gave us Bible and Quran.
Fantastic.
They came, they took away our wealth. They dehumanized us. They did not only rape, they defiled our lands. People fought to attain independence for us. If the people of Palestine today are going through what we have gone through to get liberation, the least we can do is to give them our verbal support and not to go and stand with the oppressor. It shocks me that aside Nana Akufo-Addo, you will have William Ruto, the Kenyan president, also come and open his mouth and say that they stand with Israel. Which Israel are they standing with? The Israel that is worse than the colonialists that the Mau Mau fought. The Mau Mau and their military commander, and you know, just go and read about Dedan Kimathi. Dedan Kimathi was the military commander of the Mau Mau. By 1937, they had killed him. Why did the British kill him? Because they said the Mau Mau did not have a right to fight for their land. And they described the Mau Mau as terrorists, liberation fighters. Dedan Kimathi said, we are not terrorists. We are freedom fighters. We are fighting against an enemy foreigner who has occupied our land. And that live or die, we shall fight for the liberation of our country. And they fought for the liberation of Kenya, to allow William Ruto to become president, to turn around to fight against other people who are fighting for their liberation. It's shame and disgusting that you have people who have gone through this. And you must understand that South Africa has taken the leadership away from Ghana and all the rest of the African countries by taking the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and other leaders of Israel to the International Criminal Court and urging the ICC to issue an international arrest warrant. Why? Because when South Africa was going through apartheid, the Israelis supported the apartheid regime to kill and to annihilate the black people who own their land. Why will a group of people, just because of the natural wealth of Palestine, the United States of America is doing this kind of bullshit and the rest of the world is keeping quiet? Everybody must keep quiet. Even the UN itself took a decision that, look, the killing is nonsensical. You don't go. You say you are trying to exterminate Hamas, right? Where is Hamas located? Who constitute Hamas? Do you know them? You are killing everybody. You are flattering the entire Gaza Strip. Every living thing is gone. Look, every living thing in Gaza is gone. And you come and tell me that you are attacking Hamas. You are killing citizens of the world. You see, Solomon, tell the party that you formerly belong to.
What is it? What is it that you are talking about?
Tell them.
So are you going to allow this thing on this?
That they should return.
No, but Senator, we cannot allow this.
No, please. When Mutala did that to you, you were not happy.
As for Mutala today, he came for me.
No. Are you challenging the fact that you were in the party?
Oh, no, but the until this one wants to go this morning.
If you tell them, you are still closer to them. Tell them that they should return the medal stone that they brought from Israel to this country, because Ghana cannot be part of a medal state.
You mean the one for the cathedral?
Yes. The place that crocodiles have started to live in. Because you cannot go to a land and go and bring a stone. And we are supposed to have peace with God. Then you go and bring a stone from a medular state. I am convinced that the rocks of Sankana, we could have picked a stone and come and lay after the foundation stone.
I agree with you. That one I agree.
But we spend money to go to Israel to go and bring a stone. And look at that, what Israel is doing today. Does that not tell you that we ought to be measured in what religion can do and undo? So for me, it is all about what the United States can get from Gaza Strip as far as the natural gas is concerned. And that is why they can revolt against a resolution that says that let's bring about peace to the land. But at international levels and even at community levels, Senna, have you heard anywhere that bombs have been able to settle conflicts before?
No.
Have you heard that before?
No, maybe this is...
The people talk. It is talk that settle conflicts. It is not bombs. You cannot finish Hamas today and you cannot finish Hamas tomorrow. You cannot finish Hamas forever as long as the state of Palestine exists. There are Palestinians who are Hamas. They are here. If you finish them there, they will regroup. They will come back. So you cannot finish Hamas. So I am in total support of what is happening in Tamale. And I know Mutala, despite that he's here, made significant contributions for the event to take place. And I want to commend the chiefs and people of Tamale and Dagbon in particular for not sitting down to allow Palestine to suffer defeat by themselves. It is a significant message to President Nana Akufo-Addo that you don't speak for the people of Ghana. And that what you say about standing with Israel does not represent the feeling of the people of Ghana towards the Palestinian people. And I assure you, like Didan Kimati said, live or die, they must fight for the liberation of their country. Palestine shall be free.
Thank you. Thank you. Once again, let me remind you that we're talking about the march currently happening in Tamale in solidarity with the people of Palestine. And we are live on Pan-African Television and Radio Gold. Yes, I've had difficulties with my voice throughout the week. Anyway, you're next.
Former party.
Jifar.
Thank you, Senna. Thank you, Senna. Good morning to my big brothers here. I really enjoyed the submissions, and I must say that, especially with my big brother, Honorable, he was quite passionate and it was admirable, because this is an issue this is a very sensitive issue. And today we don't have our Uncle Kwesi Pratt here because he's there with them. We are glad that he took the lead and represented all of us, because I must say before I start that this is where I stand. I stand with humanity first. That is the most important thing. The moment I, as a young person who would listen to political contributions or political narratives in other countries, hear about the US, I get paranoid. I get paranoid because they have a track record. Whatever the US is interested in, it has nothing to do with humanity. It has something to do with their personal interests. I believe I can make several examples, but I remember a very vivid picture that can never leave my mind, the day Gaddafi was being dragged on the floor in Libya. Very vivid picture, because it was there for us to see. And yes, all we had heard was that he's a wicked man, he's this, he's that. But then later on, after his death, that the US had a major contribution in plotting, you hear that Libya was actually, even though it was an autocracy system that they were living in, they even had free education up to, is it the secondary school, university level? University level. They had amenities, they were developing. Of course, there was an underlying factor that my brother Bernard Mona had mentioned in the situation of Gaza, which is their resources. And that was all. So now I ask you, what is the state of Libya today?
It's gone.
What is the state of Libya today after the US thought, I am coming to help you, liberate you from your freedom. Your man is killing you, he is wicked. What is the state of Libya today? So who will not be shocked that aside everything that is happening in the Gaza Strip today, there is a discovery for natural gas? US, I'm paranoid about them. They are no one's friends, no one allies. It's just about them and them. They think that they brought in the understanding of democracy, but they have contributed to it less. And so that is first and foremost why I would always be paranoid if US is interested in some country. But let's ask of how the US related to this Ukraine-Russia war. When a lot of people were saying, look, Russia has a say. Russia is not doing this out of their minds. Russia is not crazy. US was like, let's forget everything and remember humanity. Let's forget everything and remember humanity at least. Which makes so much sense that no matter what has happened, because as far as we are human beings here, we will continuously affect each other negatively, we will step on each other's toes, we will make mistakes that we know that we deserve punishment for even. But one of the things that will always set us at peace is when we realize that we are humans. We err, we forgive, and life is most important. US reminded us and is still reminding us of that when it was the turn of Russia and Ukraine. Today, it is the turn of Israel and Gaza, Israel and Palestine, and all of a sudden, they want to cook up an excuse as to why they had to veto the UN suggestion of a ceasefire. You don't trust people like that. Let's be consistent in our principles. That is a mark of a person with integrity, a people with integrity. To be consistent. If it's humanity, it is humanity. Because at the end of the day, the rate at which it is like, you know, I've learned so much from this war, and I have learned about provocation. That is what I have learned about. Because those who know the history will tell you that Israel was always looking for a way to hit on Hamas and Gaza, not even just Hamas. So the little provocation is like Baku, Ebeji 100. We are talking about Hamas here that has identified, when Hamas was entering or was marching the attack into Israel, they clearly identified themselves as Hamas, not Palestine. The attack has never been on them directly. It has been on the whole Palestine. And when you watch videos, I don't see how somebody will see this and still say that, oh, Israel has a reason or not to attack Palestine. Unfortunately, when you have gone through several incidents of attacks, you are very vulnerable to people who have their personal interests and come in with an idea of supporting you or giving you morale as to why your claim is legitimate. And that is what Palestine is suffering. I wanted to mention one very, very important issue. We are not very close to the Arabs or the East, or Israelis or Palestinians. But there is a very terrible situation of racism and inferiority. Very terrible. It is nauseating how it is even difficult for an Arab to marry, an actual Arab, to even be allowed to marry a Palestine. Or
no,
an
to
actual...
To marry an Israeli.
To marry an Israeli. And even, yeah. You know, it is about who is closest to you.
Yeah.
When it is Palestine and Israel, Arabs will be closer to Palestinians. So if they have to make the choice between Palestine and Israel, they will make the choice to, you know, go for Palestine, yes. But when it is just both of them, or just, you know, amongst them, you see that there is an inferiority thing. I just want to include it because I'm trying to be very neutral here and talking about who goes wrong and where. There is a very terrible incident of racism. Maybe racism might not be the exact word because they actually look very similar in their skin tone. So racism might not be the exact word. But that is something that is still going on there. Claiming who owns land and who doesn't own land. And so if South Africa today is backing Palestine, or should I say, is attacking Israel for what they are doing, it is because they have been through it not long ago. They have just left the apartheid system, the suppression that went on is exactly what the people of Gaza are going through. So if we were able to feel this, some of us were not born by then, but if we have heard what Ghanaians went through, how Ghanaians even related to those in South Africa, how the continent had to go and support South Africa to be able to liberate themselves, how terrible it is that you are in your own land and somebody claims ownership, somebody claims superiority. We shouldn't be condoning this. What is it that cannot be settled? What is it that can be forced on the fact that, okay, there were a number of people called Hamas who decided to come onto us, and so we are attacking back? One bullet against a bomb. Is that the path that we are going through? Sena, it is unbelievable the way the world is trying to pave its way into war. And people can boldly come and defend and say, yes, they have a right. When has it ever solved a problem before? We've had a First World War before. We've had a Second World War before. How did it end, and what ended it? Did we need to kill the entire world before? Because it is always a matter of agreement. It's always a matter of settlement that will end the war. That is how we are supposed to promote this conflict that is happening. Not one country deciding that, oh yes, Israel, you have every right and you were provoked, and so go all out. There are instances of faked attacks by Israel just to make their claim legitimate or their attack legitimate. Most of them have been exposed because they know that that single march by Hamas is really not enough for what damage they are causing. And so my first egg is, what is it in for Israel? And whoever supports Israel, what's in it for them? Okay. Including Nana Akufo-Addo, who goes and states his opinion as though it's the opinion of all Ghanaians, when indeed it's his only his opinion is what he stated. But you see, I'm not so surprised, because the truth of the matter is, from history, those who know Akufo-Addo, he has no intel about nothing. He's completely lost. He takes a piece of paper from his assistant or whatever, and they write what he's supposed to say. I mean, even within his country, dealings and contracts within his country, he'll tell you he was misled. He doesn't know anything. What he was asked to say is what he went to say. So I pity him, and I don't actually blame him, because he may probably be seated there and doesn't even know the details of the war with Gaza, the war in Gaza. He doesn't know. It is likely he doesn't know anything. He is a blinded person who just goes about with a carved agenda, and he doesn't change his mind.
With big English. With
big English, because at the end of the day, you go and bring a stone from Israel, he believes the cathedral has to be set up, built, because he single-handedly made a promise to God. Not knowing that, or probably assuming that at the time of the promise, he was thinking that he was going to really change Ghana. Now Ghana hasn't changed. Ghana is depreciating. Your agenda should change. God, we are not ready for the cathedral yet because my people are suffering. God will understand. So I am not surprised that a president of this nature, excuse me to use the word daft, because he has proven that he is daft in many ways, goes to make a statement as though Ghana backs that. No, we don't. And so the march in Tamale today is stating emphatically that the people of Ghana can remember and relate to what the people of Palestine are going through. And you see, they have a tree saying, if you see that your neighbor's beard is burning, don't wait for yours to burn. You have to pick water and just protect yours, because it may come to you. That is the exact saying, quotes from Martin Luther King. That is the direct translation in Chi. So it may come. And so I understand that we have our own conflicts up in the north. We may have our own conflicts in other countries in Africa. But yes, as much as we deal with ours, let us remember those that we can relate to. Because we will understand pain. US doesn't understand pain. Israel may not understand pain. We as Africans and blacks especially, because we have gone through this for hundreds of years, and even still, in a very intellectual way, are still going through it. So we may only have to understand and show our solidarity. However, sometimes the way we throw ourselves to support Western agenda or Western or Eastern agenda, sometimes let us also match for people within Africa. If there was an issue happening right now in Mali, there was an issue happening in Niger, there was an issue happening in Congo, Kenya, wherever, I really feel that we do not come out for our people like the way we step out for whites and those in the eastern in the eastern areas. We do not really step up. I approve, I support. I wish I was in Tamale myself to match with Uncle Kwesi Pratt and all the organizers of this match. But sometimes let us come out for our own people, because there is always that underlying hypocrisy over there. We seem to love people who are not close to us at all. It might be human nature, but we can do better. So, Senna, the march is for a good cause. The march represents people who think of humanity first. Mistakes may have happened, even on the side of Hamas or Palestine, because nobody can be right throughout. And in wars, everybody slips. That is why it keeps building up. But deadline, we are supposed to be humans. We are supposed to count humanity first. There should be a ceasefire. Everything should be talked about and settled. And let's know that those who feel that they have a lot of power, that is Israel, are like swollen-headed. They know they can do so much damage, but it will not gain them anything. And a country that trusts US is a country that is set for doom. A country that trusts US is a country that's set for doom. That is what I have learned over the years. And so I hope that Israel doesn't think that they are smart enough, because at the end of the day, it's a whole chain of agenda being cooked by the US and his interests. Sometimes you'll just be left hanging. So I hope that the march goes on very well. I hope that the people of Tamale are able to add their voice to the many voices that are speaking free Palestine, free Palestine. And I know that Palestine will be free one day. Palestine will be great again. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not going to. I just want to provide some information. It's very important.
Very briefly.
Someone asks how decisions are taken at the United Nations.
Okay.
I remember when I was just talking about the UN. In fact, no, it was so look, the UN was the creation of the victors of the Second World War. There is nothing fair, there is nothing just about the United Nations. If you look at the 5 permanent members, and Senna, the highest making decision board of the UN is the General Assembly, where you have representation of all the countries. But on matters of security, that decision is taken by the UN Security Council. You have 15 member Security Council, and you have 5 permanent members. What it means is that whereas the other 10 are rotated, the 5 are not rotated. They are made up of America, France, Britain, China, and Russia. So for a decision to be taken, that will be binding on everybody. You must have at least 9 members voting for that particular decision. And you must have all the 5 permanent members
agreeing with you.
Agreeing with it. What it means is that one member of the 5 can decide to veto.
Yeah.
One member of the 5 can decide to veto. The reason why I say it was the creation of the victors, those who emerged victorious in the Second World War. Look at the 5 permanent members. Germany is now economically stronger than United Kingdom, stronger than France. They have money, they have everything than them. Why is it that Germany is not a member? There were agitations that were made by many countries, particularly even in Africa, that they needed to expand the number of the permanent members. Whereas others are rotated, the 5 are constant. Germany felt that they needed to be there. South Africa felt that they needed to be there. Argentina, Brazil, they all felt that they needed to be there. Because the reasons for coming out with that 5 permanent members are no longer tenable.
Okay.
So if you take a decision, if you abstain, then fine. But if you disagree with that decision, you need to what? To veto. Now France was also on the side of the United States of America.
Okay.
But as the killing continued, France realized that it was becoming unquestionable. And that was the reason why France voted in support of it. But of course, Britain, they are puppets of the United States of America. So anytime America sneezes, Britain catches a cold. Even though in their conscience they knew that this particular, ceasefire was necessary, but they could not be seen supporting it. So they decided to abstain. And United States of America, by their usual actions, they decided to veto.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, we have to take a break. When we come back, we're talking about the new Patriotic Party and a hand for a running mate. Eric Okuseponu says that the superpowers are always looking for opportunities to fan conflict into flames for obvious reasons. Wars for profits, because investments in their defense industries cannot go to waste. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Yeah, we'll be right back.
He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer.
Very much for staying tuned to the Mother World Talk Shows, Alhaji and Alhaji. Of course, we showed you some pictures of the march in Tamale, and I hope you paid attention, watched some of them. It's happening in solidarity with Palestine today. Now, what Jafar said, what everybody has said, that ultimately, when humanity is suffering, we need to acknowledge it and need to speak up against those who are causing the suffering, no matter the reason for which they are doing it. We cannot back that level of atrocity that's happening in Palestine. I don't see how you can, as a human being, support and applaud that. In one instance, a reporter of Al Jazeera, I think was 2 days ago, lost about 20 members of his family. So that's how bad the situation can get. It can happen to anybody. And for all you know, it's somebody you may have met before. Well, let's move on to a discussion in this country. We're talking about the New Patriotic Party, the governing party. They have to choose a running mate. Dr. Bawumia has been elected as their flag bearer. So it was initially announced that they were going to announce a running mate after a meeting between Dr. Bawumia and their national council. Well, that did not happen. The explanation is that Dr. Bawumia says he needs a lot more time to pick a running mate. There are those who also claim that what they understand from the meeting was that he actually submitted a name, but the council says no. Well, but they have denied that suggestion anyway. Well, I will start this one with Mr. Solomon Owusu on this issue. So,
we are discussing the New Patriotic Party, a party that I recently left, and its running mate issue. Senna, what happened on was it Friday or Thursday?
Thursday, yeah.
Thursday, that the flag bearer of the MPP, Dr. Bawumia, could not come out with a running mate. It's not something that you can treat it in isolation. It has a lot of everything to do with the work that the Movement for Change did in Kumasi. And I will explain to viewers and listeners this morning for them to understand that it's not because the vice president wasn't clear whom he was going to submit as his running mate. In fact, he has a name. In fact, he went to the meeting with a name, but answered under the circumstance and judged by the huge numbers that went on the street of Kumasi and the current situation with the New Patriotic Party in the Ashanti region. The National Executive Council, together with NEC, decided to, as it were, give him another opportunity to come with a different name. Because the name that he sent there was totally different from what everyone was expecting. And I keep telling you, why do you want to? This morning,
please.
If I have done anything wrong, let me apologize.
Allow him.
Why is it available? Why did you pass yesterday night?
Flu, don't worry, flu.
And he has a backing vocalist. That is what interests me.
Flu.
It shows that you are indeed a woman organizer of the NDC.
But I was going to come to ask the same question, but I wanted you to
at least
have the benefit of the floor, so please continue.
That's the question whilst you were delivering.
That's why, please go ahead.
So, interestingly, the vice president and the flag bearer of the party could not submit, could not agree with the party on the choice. I mean, rumors have it that Unyina, Apostle Unyina, is the name that is going around, and it's for a simple reason. That the vice president, from where I sit and the sort of information I have, believes that his hold of the party is not that strong, and it will be politically suicidal to take anyone that he came to meet in the party as a running mate. Then power instantly shifts to that running mate, because then that person knows the party through and through and can therefore manipulate things in his favor. Again, 2024 is an election that has its own dynamics. It is an election that is historical, whichever you look at it. Mr. Alan Tremantin is in the pole position in this election. When he wins, which some of us believe he will win, he becomes the first independent candidate to have won a presidential election in this country. Even in an unlikely event that former President John Mahama, who was blessed by this country to lead us, and indeed he led us into abyss, wins again, then it means he also is the first person to have been president, removed, and has been brought back. And with the current arrangement, if the vice president also wins, that means the MPP has broken the 8, as has been the mantra. So whichever way you look at it is historical in nature. And the New Patriotic Party, remember, since the beginning of 2020, has had this feeling that it is a matter of breaking the 8. And you can only break the 8 as a New Patriotic Party when your stronghold is solidly behind you. And that is the problem the party is facing now, because that stronghold, or that World Bank, has now become a microfinance, because it has been taken over by the movement for change. And we did not just take over because it's Mr. Alhaji, because the people of that region held a certain belief, political ideology, liberal democracy, believe in private sector. If you have followed the stronghold very well, most of them are involved in business. So if you are a government and you come and all your policies are geared towards pricing them out of their business, I'm telling you, you are not going to have it easy with them. And that is the kind of promise Mr. Alhaji, through his great transformational plan, has given to the country. Indeed, when the vice president was doing his campaign to become the flag bearer of the party, he knew at all material time that the constitution of the MPP, Article 13(9) or so, I think 2 or 9, is very clear that a year to election you must submit your running mate. And I'm sure going around, he knew the person that he would partner with to confront the 2024 election, should he win the election. So why would anybody come and tell me that all of a sudden the vice president has lost or forgotten all the names that he had in mind at this crucial hour? That is not the case. It is about the movements, incursion in the region. It is about how the people of the stronghold and many areas are unhappy with the developments that are taking place in the New Patriotic Party. But let me say that as a member, a proud member of the Movement for Change, I am very happy with what is happening. If as a result of we going on the street and doing a walk, a mere walk, can prevent you from naming your running mate, then I can assure you that you are going to walk throughout the year, so that you are unable to come out with your running mate. And the numbers that will be coming subsequently will be mind-blowing. Mind you, when the Movement for Change was established, people hardly gave us any opportunity of surviving beyond 2 weeks. And I remember a lot of people came with theory that butterflies don't last more than 2 weeks. And they were just poo-pooing our activities, giving Mr. Alhaji all sort of names. But now they have realized that, hey, where the country is, it's not a matter of NPP and NDC. Look, I have said severally that for NDC or NPP to win election 2024 is to say Ghanaians have endorsed poverty. If we believe that our current circumstance is not the best, the question you ask yourself is, how did we get where we are? We have been led by these two political parties, i.e. NDC and NPP. So if our situation is not the best, it means they have inflicted this pain onto us. And that is why the Ghanaian is looking more to the policies of these programs, the parties or the candidates that are contesting. And that is why, as of now, it seems the race is between the movement and the NDC. But I dare say, the NDC is trying very hard to try and come closer to the kind of policies that the Movement for Change has put forward. We, as far back as January, put forward our vision. The vision or the plan that can lead this country into prosperity. We outlined it, we told you that given the opportunity, we would stabilize the macroeconomic environment by dealing with issues of interest rate, inflation, external debt, exchange rate differentials, and so on and so forth. We have told you that we intend to concentrate on agriculture, we intend to focus on industrialization, stabilize the security system of this country, provide more energy, and deal extensively with tourism. When we provided and the Ghanaians were buying into it and they continued to buy into it, our brothers from the NDC, who were hitherto pushing what we call the big push, nobody knows what that policy was about. The big push, they realized it was not flying. So they quickly went back and said, well, the total conclusion of the plan that has been put forward by Mr. Alhaji Martin can only lead to one determination, which is a 24-hour economy. Then quickly, former President John Mahama jumped onto it and said, I'm going to provide you with 24-hour economy. And I have been looking forward to the plan that will lead us to that 24-hour economy. And it's not coming from anywhere. And here today, I am all ears. And I'll be listening to Mutala and my sister Jifa to know whether there is indeed any policy, so that all of us can discuss it into details. But so far, what I've heard is that they will be running 3 shifts, morning 8 hours, up to 2 o'clock, another batch takes over, up to 8 o'clock. Now, what sort of business is that? So it's not surprising that Professor Peter Kote of ISE has said, yes, the 24-hour economy is something that is good, but the plan to lead us to that 24 hours is what is missing. And that is what precisely Mr. Alhaji Martin a week today, said in Kumasi that, yes, anybody that says the 24-hour economy is not a good thing, then you don't even know, then you don't wish the country well. Because 24-hour economy is a product of an efficient economy. When there is production and consumption, definitely it will lead to 24-hour economy. Okay. And so for you to come and tell us that it's not something that is good means you don't intend to work, because your works will lead to that. But as to how, and Ghanaians do not have that confidence in former President John Mahama to be able to deliver that 24-hour economy. And that is why the movement keeps moving. Unfortunately for the vice president, who happens to be the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, he, instead of also agreeing with the policy and even come with a divergent opinion, he immediately says it was a bad strategy, it was a bad idea. Well, you have said it's a bad idea. So what else are you bringing on board? And these are all fueling into the dwindling fortunes of the New Patriotic Party, and hence his inability to appoint who the running mate is. I would encourage the vice president and the MPP that where Ghana politics has gotten to, it doesn't matter whom they choose as the running mate. In fact, if they are going to even choose Jesus Christ as the running mate, the value will be the same come 2024. The value will be the same because the NABCO personnel that were assured of employment are still in the house. Teeming young ladies who have finished their national service are still in the house without jobs. They are still dependent on their parents. The very parents who have sacrificed all their earnings to take care of them to go to the university are also house. Some of them even invested in these government bonds, and the dividends of it is not coming. Okay. So if you combine all these things, it means you are not in the good books of the Ghanaian. Especially when you have the women's organizer of the NPP saying that there were a lot of policies that the NPP flag bearer, Dr. Baumia, never supported. Okay. That we do not know. So you as a vice president, that in your bid to become the president of the country, now you are telling us that even policy decisions at cabinet that you were instrumental, you never supported. For instance, you have been told that the vice president was never in support of the IMF. But if you read the IMF staff level agreement, or the agreement itself, page 2 of it tells us that it was the vice president together with the finance minister and the governor of Bank of Ghana that engaged the IMF. So how would you let someone to come and lie to the good people of this country? Let you understand that in politics, it's either you win or you lose. The same Ghanaian that saw MPP worthy of winning election in 2016 and 2020 are saying this time around that because of the way and manner politicians have taken, especially these two political parties, MPP and DZ, have taken us, they want to try the independent candidate, Mr. Alhaji. And it's very even crucial that we try the independent candidates. A simple policy of 24 hours, the NPP is saying it's not doable, the NDC is saying it's doable. How are they going to build consensus to make sure that we achieve that? You need an independent candidate who will be able to bring these two sides together. NPP, NDC, private sector, to solve the problem of unemployment. Okay. The last time I went to Nima police station, I was shocked. Said I couldn't believe it. I went there and saw a lot of people at the car park. So I thought they were doing police recruitment. But I saw some elderly women, and I said, oh, these people do not qualify to be police. So I went closer and inquired. All of them are going for their criminal report or criminal records so that they can travel outside the country. Now, you're back here. I always use it as a reference. Canadian Embassy. Every morning, go and see the youth. So if you are a leader of this country or someone that thinks wholeheartedly about this country, and you see your youth going out of this country, where lies the future of this country? Yes. And that is why the movement for change, our focus is on the youth. Look, on last Saturday's event, the average age of those that took part was 20 years. And the ladies were more than the men. And I said, hey, what is happening? So we must understand this and note that the decision by the new Patriotic Party to choose Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as the flag bearer ended the party's ability to win 2024 election. The decision by the NDC to bring former President John Mahama ended any glimpse of hope or what? Glimmer of hope for the NDC to win any elections in this country. Okay. And that the only way this country can move forward is for Mr. Alhaji, together with the movement for change, to come and bring all sides together. Okay. And nothing will change. Nothing will change.
Thank you very much. Solomon also from the movement of change. He says they keep moving. Julius Agahoa and Tahiro in Sansawasi says, Senna, let me also use this opportunity to solidarize with our brothers and sisters in Palestine. And I must commend my people in Tamale for that wonderful move to add their voices to what is happening to Palestinians. Our press statement to stand with the Israelis is very unfortunate. Our president should think about how to manage the broken economy of this country. Ghana is sinking, but thank God GM is coming back to this 24-hour economy to rescue Ghanaians from this corrupt government. Thank you for that message. This one is coming from Musa Abatwa. Says, Senna, MPP can choose their running mate from the moon. GM and Jenana Opokwa will beat them hands down because majority of Ghanaians are sophisticated and vote based on their living standard and performance of the economy nonetheless. Akufo-Addo and Bawumia should stop stealing John Mahama's 24/7 economic policy because they've started the statement issued by the GRA. 24-hour economy is a game changer for the Ghanaian economy. Those are some of the messages you're sending to us. Tafai Namanya says, Senna, I have never seen wicked people like Israelis and Americans. How any human being bombs a hospital, a place where people go to worship their God. Thank you for that message. So those are some of the messages we are getting. Now, in fact, this week, one thing went under the radar very fast. The NDC actually, I think you outdoored your Council of Elders. They were sworn into office. Then immediately after that, some of my colleagues started reporting that Professor Jenana Opokwa had been chosen as the running mate. The NDC said nothing about it. Did you choose Professor Jenana?
We've not chosen. And it will be chosen next year.
Okay. Next year.
First quarter of next year, our running mate will be decided on.
Okay.
And it will be announced publicly. But I must say that, Senna, we are well organized. We know our way forward. Undisputed. They had a Council of Elders meeting. The reason why that message kept popping up is that she's our immediate past running mate. And people assume that usually when there's a Council of Elders meeting, very, very big and important topics as this is going to be discussed. You understand? And so they just come out and say that she is the one that will be chosen. We don't know yet. She may be, she may not be. It's totally in the hands of our flag bearer. So that is just by the way. Senna, my brother here was ranting so much. I appreciate him. He's a little bit frustrated. You can imagine the journey he has gone through ever since their internal elections went on. I called him on several occasions to console him, give him my shoulders to cry on. Today he's here blabbing about things that he doesn't know. He's my brother, any day, anytime. And he's going through very trying times. So we will pardon him. And as for the movement, the way butterflies move, we know that they can move to the extent of migration. So I will not be shocked if the butterfly movement will move from Ghana to Congo very soon. So I wish them well and they should keep moving. I am not just trying to respond to everything that he's saying, but I'm grateful that in his 24-hour economy address, he mentioned that it was a very productive strategy for any reasonable country. That he said, as to how, we haven't brought out our manifesto, and it's not as if it is, we brought out our manifesto and it's not in it. Our president had a conversation and was compelled to give out one of the very many things he was going to do. So as to how, we have even mentioned some, but I mean, he didn't read into it very well. So we do not owe you anything. We are just grateful that you know that it is a very, very powerful strategy for every reasonable and developing country, or a country that seeks to go ahead. That is just one of the sides. And so I won't take too much time on this topic because it's so relatable to Ghanaians and people will understand from various sectors that in trying to choose Bawumia's running mate, he had to be given another opportunity, or should I say they failed to choose. When it was publicly announced that tomorrow NEC of NPP is going to sit and choose a running mate, they announced they were ready to go into that meeting. They were ready with names and whatever. But I thought to myself that why is it even such a big deal with Bawumia? Because the man Bawumia has lost so much and every bit of integrity and respect for himself as a person that the choice of a running mate is even more important than the choice made by his people to choose him. Choosing Bawumia's running mate is a life and death matter for the NPP, because this is a candidate who has zero integrity, zero respect, zero background and track record. He has been pushed on to the NPP by force because of available resources, because of internal machinations. And so choosing a running mate is not a light matter. That is why even he is not as powerful. Because trust me, I do not know about the constitution of the NPP, but in the constitution of the NDC, the running mate is chosen by the flag bearer in consultation with. If it is the same, that means that the flag bearer has all the power and will just consult. Doesn't mean that the Council of Elders or NEC can disagree with the flag bearer. So if the name Bawumia brought up has been disagreed on and therefore has been told to go back, you should know that he holds no power at all. In the election, people wanted to create the impression as though he has a very large constituency. He may have, you can buy a large constituency with money, but he does not have a strong constituency. Bawumia is a weakling. He's a tool. He's a puppet that has been placed there for the benefit of those that control him. He has a very large constituency because of financial resources, but he's not strong. The former NPP member will tell you that in secret. Maybe he might even. I don't know about this your yellow thing. It's funny. So you know there's a yellow. It is very funny. I don't want to even go there. So, Senna, there is a very crucial problem over there. Now we hear of names coming up. There was a day I saw somebody send me a message in my Instagram DM of Napo having a secret wedding. I was like, wow, the agenda must be real, because apparently he has quickly gone to marry somebody. I don't know, his partner, in the quest of pushing his agenda to go for running mate position. We heard about Apostle Opoko Nyina. Yeah. That part, I almost didn't believe it, because there had been many accusations leveled on the Christian Council and those that were, posing as men of God, but indeed were secret stomach politicians. Indeed were doing the bit of the NPP. Those who had very loud and wide mouths during His Excellency John Dramani Mahama's era, very loud and wide mouths to complain about anything and everything, but obviously have their mouths shut when it got to the turn of the NPP. I couldn't believe it. And if you ask people that are close, Apostle Opoku-Nyina had, like, he was actually fighting to get that slot. So I wasn't surprised when my brother here mentioned that he was the one Bawumia to play the religious card. Because Bawumia knows that if he's going to play the Islam card, he needs a Christian to balance it. But trust me, Christianity may not be the same as Islam. Because if you are Pentecostal, I am Catholic. If you are Baptist, I am from Assemblies of God or something like that. And we actually want to relate to somebody who comes naturally to us as a man for the people and not a man of religion. That is why you see His Excellency John Dramani Mahama enter any Muslim program and he suits it. He doesn't have to pretend. He will tell you his knowledge in Islam. He will quote the Quran to you. He will give his message and blends well with the people because he is their people. He goes to his church, Assemblies of God Church, and it is similar there. This man appears to everyone as a man of the people. Unfortunately, Bawumia has nothing to play on, so now he's trying to play the religious card by saying that, oh, we've not really had a lot of Muslims being president, and so I think it was only Hilal Iman who he wasn't even a Muslim. So he's playing the Muslim card that today we also want to stand up and lead for somebody to follow. But that card won't play because even Muslims don't think like that when it comes to matters of governance. Most Muslims don't think like that. We want people who will give us results. Do not come and divide our states into a religious state, because now it looks like Muslims are being empowered to think that they also have to do something when it has never been the case. And so if you go and attempt to bring an apostle, a stomach politician in cloaks and cassocks as your running mate and it was backfired, it is because they know that the battle ahead is bigger than what Bawumia himself is saying. In fact, he thinks it's a joke. He thinks it's just similar to what he went through in his internal elections. Unfortunately, it won't be like that. And I dare to say that they are going to have a very tough decision to come up with somebody who can match. I even heard that they are considering a woman. They mentioned Frema Opare. I hear they have blocked that. Now I hear it's a vice chancellor, a female vice chancellor of a university. A female vice chancellor of a university, which tells me that they are so scared and shivering that they are trying to get somebody who will suit and match the characteristics of our 2020 running mate. They are just lost because we know that our 2020 running mate was once a female vice chancellor of a university in Cape Coast. She was an education minister. And so if I'm hearing all this in the air, you can see that these people are struggling, and trust me, they're going to have a hard time. But nevertheless, whatever decision that they come up with, I don't know who will be too white enough to wash Bawumia's blackness, or too clean enough, let me use that again, too clean enough to wash Bawumia's dirtiness, because that man has soiled his integrity, the integrity of where he hails from, the integrity of the entire NPP, and even those who hail from NPP, including the butterfly. Because Sana, we go there and then we realize that when did the butterfly decide to leave NPP? It is only when their internal elections didn't favor them. They never decided that, no, this is a lost cause, we need to be a people of our own. It is only when the internal elections of the NPP didn't favor them, then they start talking like they have never been part of this. They were cooking it together, they lived it together, they chopped it together, they enjoyed it together. And all of a sudden, they messed up together. They messed up together. Today, we are grateful enough that John Mahama has his track record there. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has his track record of 8 years lying down there. Now show us what. Show us what. That is one of the most interesting things about this election. That two very experienced people are going together. People that we have experienced ourselves. Sena, I feel bad for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia because I have seen incidents of puppets being controlled before. He is lost. It's a lost cause, and there was a big mistake done by the NPP. However, it favors us because this is who we would have preferred. Because it favors the NDC.
Oh, really?
That Dr. Mahmoud Biaumia is who you chose. It just tells you who the NPP are. And I hope that they do not make the mistake of playing the tribal, especially the religious card, because that will go against them big time. And whoever they decide to bring as running mates will be no match for even our flag bearer alone, because he's not just going by himself. He's going with his ideas, he's going with his suggestions, and most importantly, with his experience and track record of how he has managed this country and how it was a better place than it is now under the NPP and all those who hail from the NPP. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jifa. And I like the fact that you refuse to be distracted. Yes. That's impressive. Well, this one, Vikings Amicus Korea. This is great presentation, sister. What about if Baumia chooses a Kufuado? And then Achulo Swali Abdul Razak. He makes a very interesting one. Says, I'm sure Baumia chose Oforiata, but you are looking for somebody in white. So he says he's sure Baumia chose Ken Oforiata. Comrade Mona.
And my tradition at a fix.
Okay.
You know, Murtala comes from one of the hottest spots in the north. And that is why the AC is over chilling. So if the handlers can put it a bit lower. Speak for yourself. Because the way I see you, you are my kid brother. I have to. And then, no, before you leave, I saw you worried about Napo's marriage. Maybe you were crashing on Napo or something. I was just wondering, and Jeff was crashing at Napo, and Napo chose a different woman.
And since you haven't taken off yet,
yes,
let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom.
Very much for staying tuned to the Mother of All Talk Shows, Alhaji and Alhaji. And of course, we're just discussing the fact that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who is flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, has been given more time to choose a running mate. And Comrade Mona was on the floor. Comrade.
Well, after the light talk, I also feel very uncomfortable always discussing issues about some political parties when there are issues about my party and my tradition. And so you permit me just 2 minutes to lament the deplorable state of the Nkrumah's political parties and to state that the recent happening within the Convention People's Party, where a group of people or some executives of the party met and decided that the entire national executives of the party should resign, was uncalled for and unnecessary. These things have further divided and broken the heart of the party. Over the years, several attempts have been made to rally particularly the CPP and the PNC into a formidable unit. Whilst at it, we gave birth to the PPP. Whilst at it, we gave birth to the APC. And we've been thinking of how we can get them back into their original fold. Then you wake up that within the CPP, a group says that every member who was elected should resign. It does not take press conferences to get people elected. I have gone through elections time without number. And I can tell you that even as you may think that our party does not garner sufficient vote, when it comes to elections, you have to visit every polling constituency. So you go to more than 275 constituencies by whatever means to interact with people. These people, you are not even sure whether they are for you or against you. They will welcome you. And so you want to meet every executive. Then you come. Then a small group of people go and sit somewhere and say they have dismissed you. We did this in the PNC with Atiq Mohammed, and I came and said no. It was unacceptable. Because, look, I may not like Atiq Mohammed, but once Congress has taken a decision that he is the one to be General Secretary, I have to work with him. Motala, you know my relationship with Atiq. And you were one of the people who even, supported Atiq to be by me. So when you go and say you have removed that person through a small meeting, I will tell you that it is wrong. Our executive led that example. That it did not take long. The party says they have dismissed Janet Nabila as General Secretary. I said it's wrong. Then all of a sudden, Janet also organizes a team. They go to Kumasi and say that they have dismissed those who have dismissed them. A certain level of irrational doings. Congress takes a decision, go back to Congress. Extraordinary congresses and emergency congresses can be organized. If we disagree, no organ of the party is bigger than Congress. And so you cannot go and invalidate the decision of Congress by any other organ of the party. I get frustrated. Anyway, you did not invite me to come and talk and lament about my party position. As we speak today, do you know that a certain section of the PNC is organizing a meeting?
Hey, they also want to topple leaders.
A certain section. They are organizing a meeting. And so when you finish organizing that meeting, the Apasara, Moses Daniba, and other people will tell you that this is an invalid meeting. How long can we continue to do this? Even newly born butterfly is butterflying.
We are flying very high.
And look at what we are doing.
Join it, join it.
Anyway, I want to start from the note that in my young political career, I have come across presidents who have done everything and anything to get persons they perceive they can control to be elected. They have sacked, in some instances, their vice presidents. They have sacked anybody that is seen to be the front runner. They have shredded them, and they will go and put people they will consider as puppets. In the end, when these puppets sit on the presidency, those people who machinated and enmity, destroyed even the party in order to get them elected, they ran for cover. You remember President Frederick Chuluba of Zambia? When his vice president was to succeed him, he took away the vice president. He took away any minister or any person that was seemed to be the favorite of the people, and went and brought in a deputy minister who was Levi Manawaza. As soon as Levi Manawaza was supported and put on the seat of presidency, his first eye was on Chiluba. It did not take long for Chiluba to be placed under house arrest, and Chiluba died. Right? If you go to Nigeria, the love story of Obasanjo and the divorce story of Atiku Abubakar, you remember? Yes, Obasanjo's vice president was Atiku Abubakar. Obasanjo wanted a constitutional amendment to allow him for a third term. Atiku Abubakar said no. Eventually, Atiku Abubakar suffered his position. Anybody that came closer was given the sack. Yaradua was brought in as president. When Yaradua became president, you remember the Yaradua elections? Ballot papers arrived from South Africa the morning of the elections in Nigeria, and results were declared the same day. They arrived at the port of Nigeria. So you can just imagine how big Nigeria was. So there were places, though elections took place, but the elections results were declared. To make Yaradua president, Obasanjo did this. You didn't see the way Yaradua handled Obasanjo. Yaradua took Obasanjo and put him at the corner. That Obasanjo, as we say in common language, he was crying, "I can't breathe." Right? Until Yaradua died. Even in our own country, Jerry Boom and J.E.A. Mills. J.E.A. Mills promised to be the one to consult Jerry Boom. Along the line, he realized that no, that will not be. Jerry Boom had a problem when Atta Mills eventually became president, because that consultation was not what was forthcoming. And of course, if you go to Angola, who doesn't know what has happened? To the extent that Dos Santos has to die, and the family is in tango with the presidency that they don't want Dos Santos' body to be buried in Germany, in Angola. So, President Akufo-Addo, you have anointed, you have blessed, and you have promised that you will make Bawumia president, but be guided by history. even as I know, that you don't have the power to make Bawumia a president or whatever, because the people of Ghana has the authority to determine who a president is. As for the running mate issues, if the constitution of the New Patriotic Party says, in Article 13 and Article 32 of the Constitution, it says that why? The Vice President must present a running mate, and that the running mate must be somebody of the party who has been known and is a card-bearing member of good standing for 5 years. That's what this party constitution says. And that the person must be presented 12 clear months before the next general election. So now that the party has gone at the neck to say that no, we are looking down on our constitution, so don't give us a running mate 12 clear months to the extent. It means that that provision has been rendered odious. It's of no relevance. But if we can flout party constitutions, it means we can flout national constitutions. Because the constitution, for good reason, say that 12 months. Why did you go to say you are amending it? So you took a decision. Are constitutional amendments done at NEC or they are done at Congress? Congress takes these decisions. And so when you realize that this was coming, you needed a Congress, not a NEC. We are talking about statutes. So that, in my view, tells us that if you have a party as the New Patriotic Party, are you surprised that our laws are being defiled, raped in reckless abundance by President Akufo-Addo in any form and in any manner? Parliament is not respected. We can just get up and then they introduce an emergency power and then they start to work with it. The Bank of Ghana does not respect the laws that govern this country because the party that gave birth to those in power don't respect their own rules. So Vice President has been given chance to nominate. Jaffa says that the Minister for Energy went and married before to enhance. I don't know that marriage has anything to do with your capacity to be a running mate. I don't know about that. I sincerely don't know. Because if you are claiming so and the man was not married and was made a minister, then it means the man could not have qualified. So I think that, look, people's morals and love relationship, except the impact on our national economic pace, I think that we should leave that and concentrate on the capacity of the person to deliver or not to deliver. But I have heard, I did not hear of Onyina, but I will not be surprised to hear of Onyina. Because is he not one of the people that went and brought the stone from Israel? And is he not the acting chairman or chairman of the National Cathedral Board? After Duncan Williams and others realized that no, President Akufo-Addo is a deceptive leader and a bomb, they left. Iswood Anaba, what's the name? Darky Ward Mills. How many? About 7 of the board members have left. Onyina took over. And supporting Kusi, what's the name? Reverend Kusi. He has another name. Charles.
No. Kwabena
Edu Demfi and Reverend Kusi Boateng.
Yeah.
One person has 2 different mothers. One person has 2 different biological mothers. One person was born on different dates. And Pastor Apostle Onyina can be backing such a character. And you know, they all give bad meaning to Christianity. Characters like Onyina and what they do and we see, they give bad meaning to what Christians are supposed to do. And so, if Onyina is going to be the one, I'm sure that the National Cathedral and the stone from Israel will play a role. But I'm told that there is a consideration because they think that they cannot control NAPO. That's the Minister Matthew Poku Prempeh. And that the Achim Mafia think that he is tough for them. Don't forget that when they went and used, what's his name, the GMPC with Freddie Blair and co to go and do some deals, NAPO did not support them. Don't forget that in the attempt to sell Tema Oil Refinery, NAPO is not in support of them. And so they see him as a tough customer, and that if even if Bawumia will be submissive to them, they cannot see NAPO being submissive to them. And so I'm not sure they will deal because they feel that, look, their honey basket has been sealed as far as it's concerned. But did I hear the name of the Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana? Professor Nana Abba Apia Amfo.
Oh, you heard her name?
Oh, yeah.
Somewhere.
That they want to say that, well, the NDC is bragging that they have a running mate in a former Vice Chancellor. And so they will also get a Vice Chancellor. If this becomes the consideration for which we must put people at the highest and pinnacle of our leadership, then God save Ghana. We should look in at people who understand what it is for a child to get up without water. We should be looking at people who will understand what poverty really is and not what they have read in books. We should get up to understand that majority of our young people, Mutala, when we completed university, are you aware that majority of our people who completed universities with us are still struggling for jobs? Yeah. That's about 20 years ago.
Those before you are even struggling for jobs.
You know, they get temporary jobs here. They go and do contract job. They finish. And then that job is no more. Then they have to go and sit at home, struggling to get jobs. 20 years over, people are still struggling to get jobs. That should be the preoccupation of anybody that will be leading this nation. Okay. If it is about we have a vice chancellor, so go and get a vice chancellor, I would think, in the sense of Solomon, even as I disagree with him, that the NDC and NPP constitute the biggest problem of our nation. But of course, the butterfly was swimming with them.
So butterfly is an independent.
You were swimming with them. Alan was the one who came and told us that he brought presidential special initiatives under NPP.
Yes.
Alan is the one that tells us that he brought one district, one factory, which Bawumia says that he is the one who led it.
Oh, they can just take the.
Do you understand? Alan was there. Alan was there, was swimming and wrestling inside. When things did not go well, he now comes out to say that the problem is the NDC and the NPP. We have always said so. You never believed us. But it's better late than never. Fantastic. That all of a sudden, you now see what we were telling you that you did not believe.
Thank you. Thank you, Comrade. Just a few messages, and then I'll come to you, Comrade Mutala. This is Hadi in Pig Farm. Says the Nando Bawumia government has lost its credibility with respect to economic management. Government is about honesty and truthfulness. This Nando Bawumia government, however, fancies blatant lying to the good people of Ghana. They promise to transform our economy, and today we see is the free fall of the cedi, skyrocketing fuel prices and galloping inflation. Instead, our government to stay true to themselves and admit their failure, they keep shifting blame on external issues while preaching to Ghanaians that things will get better. If a bachelor lies that he is married, he's only deceiving his manhood. Thank you very much, Hadi, for sending in that message.
Before can speak, you are aware that Mensa Thompson is in Congo, Kinshasa, and is marrying today.
Hey.
Which Mensa Thompson?
Asepa.
Marrying from Congo.
He's marrying Congo to Ghana.
I see. Congratulations to him. Jonah says, tell Solo, today all the hardship we Ghanaians are going through is as a result of just an independent MP from Fomena who has failed himself to the MPP to form a majority in parliament to support all the wicked things that are votes and policies of the NPP that brought all of us to where we are today. So please tell Solo to stop talking of promoting another NPP independent presidential candidate who will come and do same like the NPP independent Formina MP in Parliament. Some of us are tired and fed up with the so-called independent. Jonas sent that one. Good morning to Papa Bisi, who says, Bawumia is now facing the realities and now sensing danger because the load on his head is very huge. He had to beg for more time to choose his running mate. Someone must tell him, if even giving him a whole 1 year to do that, no way for him against Almighty His Excellency John Mahama come 2024 elections. And relative to the so-called lithium deal, we have achieved what we have achieved from our gold. Just look at mining areas, so outmodest as compared to South Africa's mining areas. Thank you for that message. 2 messages. First from Stephen Penwa, who says, let Bawumia even decide to choose Nanado. Stephen Penwa.
The man is
Stephen Pen
from Wa.
Okay, I understand. Sorry. Stephen Pen from Wa says, let Bawumia even decide.
I don't know why he always uses Wa, or because he stays.
Oh, you know him, eh?
I know him.
Stephen, why are you doing that? This is
let Bawumia even decide to choose Nanado, but the NPP will crash out in the December 7, 2024 elections. And says, congratulations for your submission on the topic. I listened to you with rapt attention. A rock or a stone from Sankana could indeed be used as a foundation stone. Okay, Sankana means that goes to Bernard Mona. Because reference to Sankana, everybody knows he's a proud son of Sankana. Tafaina Maya said, I have never seen wicked people like. Okay, I have read that message, Tafa. There's also about Samogobe in office. His Excellency John Mahama is coming to rescue Ghana from this bad governance of Akufo-Addo Bawumia. Which person in his right mind will support Bawumia to continue with Akufo-Addo's corruption? And then let me end with Magdo, who sends a message. This is Magdo. Okay, Magdo from Alhaji, who sent us a message. I'll get that later and read it to you. Comrade.
Senna, there's something that is creeping into our body politics, and it started just after Dr. Bawumia was elected as the flag bearer. In fact, it started long before that, but it gained currency after he was elected as the flag bearer. Religion in our body politics. And that for me is extremely dangerous. I already indicated here what he did in the presence of the National Chief Imam. We know the dangerous religious politicking the NPP is engaged in. And they're engaged in this in our Zongo or Muslim communities. Mona, you are aware of some of them. I don't care who is elected the president of Ghana. I don't care whether that person is a Muslim, a Christian, a Jew, a whatever. As long as that person is a Ghanaian, and as long as that person thinks Ghanaian, and as long as the policy that are going to be formulated and implemented and near to the benefit of the people of this country. I'm a practicing Muslim, but you can't buy my conscience with this religious argument as to who is elected as the flag bearer. What they are doing is that they have gotten boys and some ladies. They move to meet youth groups and sometimes enter into homes of people, telling them to vote Bawumia because Bawumia is a Muslim. That would not have been even much worry. Just 2 to 3 weeks ago, Samira Bawumia was in the northern part of the country, meeting Fulani communities and telling them to vote. Majority of them are Muslims. Fulani communities, Muslim communities, telling them to vote the husband because the husband is a Muslim, the husband is a Fulani. That we must all fight and fight with all the vigor. The statement, the contributions we all made on the earlier topic, to a very large extent, has everything to do with our politicking in Ghana. I think that I will not belabor the examples I will give. on the need for us to tolerate each other, the need for us to, even as Muslims, to disregard the nonsense that the MPP is going ahead with. But Jifa made a point here, which is true. If you look at the info analytic, the survey they conducted in Northern Region, where you have majority of the people being Muslims, that among Muslims, religion is no issue as far as the person they will elect. Because the economic conditions that we have all been subjected to by the maladministration of President Nana Addo Bawumia administration provide no distinction as to who is supposed to suffer. All of us are suffering. And I just want to make this point very clearly. If they push us, we'll begin making the audios available, the kinds of statements they make when they meet these people. And the reason why we've been holding on, because it is so explosive that you are conscious of the stability and peace and unity of the country, that you do not know how it could be misinterpreted by people who listen to it. So we are telling them to desist from that. That also explains why the MPP is focused, because Dr. Bawumia is a Muslim. They must get a Christian. And the kind of Christian they must get, they must go proposing a pastor or a man of God. And that is why this Apostle Onyina issue came about. I think it's dangerous. Now, we have had several names that came up. My good friend Napo's name came up. Even Esla Owusu was also lobbying, and she's still lobbying to be made the running mate. As a matter of fact, she has a team, even in Parliament, who are working for her. Now, and when I say this, I mean it, I'm not joking. At least 2 members of Parliament, colleagues from MPP, told me that they are working for Esla. Esla Owusu wants to be the running mate of the Republic of this country. God save us. You have the Minister for... Yes, but that's why I find it extremely dangerous if she ever become the Minister for Education. He's also lobbying to be made a running mate. You have the first Deputy Speaker. No, second Deputy first Deputy Speaker. I'm told he subsequently denied that he is not interested. You have Chairman Sabunsu, the majority leader, who is openly lobbying to be made the running mate for the 2024 elections. In fact, I nearly forgot. The 24-hour economy. Did you say we stole it from you?
Oh yeah, it's a summary of our...
You see, that's why when Mona said that, because you've ever had something to do with the MPP, the thing is still in you. I was on a program with one of the MPP's communicators. Let me finish.
Let him make his point.
I was on a program with one of the MPP's communicators on Focus on GTV, and he said that we stole it from them. Another person said we stole it from them. Go and read the NDC manifesto for the 2020 elections, specifically page 104. Hold on. I said go and read it.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Also go and read the 40-year development plan, which was done under the NDC. I had the privileged opportunity to have participated in drafting the 40-year development plan. I used to attend meetings several times representing my minister. I'm saying, yes, but it was who is the NDC? It was NDC President Mahama who appointed another NDC person, Dr. Nimoy Thompson.
Nimoy Thompson was a CPP member. How did he become an NDC member?
No, hold on. I'm saying that Nimoy Thompson was the economic advisor, whether he was a card-bearing member or not. He worked with the NDC government.
It doesn't matter.
I'm saying that he was an advisor. President Mahama constituted that and indeed fed the committee as the president. His view, other people did, people in academia. So I'm saying that this is not the first time. He was also part of the team.
But he wasn't an NDC member.
I'm just telling you, it's not new.
Also the Kojo
exactly.
was also representing the New Patriotic Party.
So what are you saying? Kojo Afari was representing the New Patriotic Party. Did he talk about the 24-hour?
No, I'm talking about only the 40 years.
No, I'm just saying that apart from that, there were people in academia. I'm just telling him. That's why I've told him to go and read.
Because it went around all
go and read the page 104.
The summary of our plan is to 24-hour.
Can I make my point? If we have the opportunity to sit down,
yes,
because you asked us what the plan really is, I have had the opportunity to have explained, extensively when we talk about the 24-hour plan, what it means. This is not the opportunity. If you want to engage me, even on national television, as to how the plan is. But I'm just telling you that this is not the first time. Page 104 of the 2020 NDC's manifesto, you will find the 24-hour clearly as we explain it. But you see, the reason why President Nana Addo supported Dr. Bawumia's candidacy is because among those who were contesting, Dr. Bawumia is the only person who the Nana Addos and the Furiates family can be guaranteed that he will protect their loot. Because they were all engaged in the loot. So he's the only person who can protect their loot. And therefore, they must support his candidacy. It is also very clear that there is a desperate attempt now to insulate Dr. Bawumia from the mess that is created. As a matter of fact, the National Women Organizer of the MPP says, among others, that Dr. Bawumia cannot be blamed for the economic mess that have been created by Nana Addo Bawumia's government, because he was against certain policy decisions of the government, i.e., the IMF and also the e-levy. Chairman Sabonsu, the majority leader, also says that Dr. Bawumia cannot be blamed for the mess that is created. So you see, they have sat down, they have agreed that Nana Addo should be attacked, but you cannot attack Nana Addo in isolation. Another lie that is being peddled. Their communicators are now saying that President Mahama was not the chairman of the economic management team. It's absolutely illogical. No. They are now saying, I have listened to one of their incompetent communicators, one lady who sat on one of the TV stations and said that President Mahama was not the person chairing the economy of this management committee or whatever, as if there is any constitutional requirement that says that you must necessarily chair it, and as if there is a constitutional requirement that says that it should also be described as economic management team, whichever fashion. The reason why the vice presidents play that role is because of the dilution of responsibility, and therefore the president gives that, and that has been the practice. So whether it was called the economic management team or it was called whatever team, President Mahama, there's no doubt whatsoever. Some of us who were in government, President Mahama was the one who chaired the economic management team. But one thing it also tells me is that, contrary to the view they held earlier, that the NDC under President Mahama never did anything good, it is now dawned on them that after all, that was a fantastic administration we have had. And therefore, we can no longer argue that administration didn't do a lot of good. Let's change the narrative. Let's now say that yes, the administration did a lot of good, but President Mahama didn't play a role in that goodies. I get what I'm saying. That is the logic. Because over the years, they have claimed, in fact, they call him Professor Doolittle. They said he couldn't do anything. The country was in a mess. President Mahama was a participant, and I remember 2012 elections. Every blame they made under the NDC, against the NDC under Prof. Mills, President Mahama's administration, they said President Mahama was the chairman of the economic management team. Today, they are now saying that President Mahama was not the chairman of the economic management team. It is mean that they are agreeing that they were lying to the people of this country. And again, they can wash Dr. Bawumia with all the perfumes in Arabia. In fact, with all the oud perfumes in Arabia, he will still be smelling one corruption. He will be smelling gross and crass incompetence. He will be smelling absolutely dangerous and most important policy he ever formulated. And he will still be recognized as an active participant in the economic mess that have been created, that the people of this country are still going through the suffering because of the kinds of economic policies that they provided. So they cannot wash him
with even the perfumes in Arabia of the mess. Now, the attempt to now insulate him from that mess is telling us they are now admitting that President Nana Addo Dr. Bawumia administration has failed. Because if it did not fail, I don't think that they will be desperately trying to insulate him from the mess that is created. Okay. Now, if you look at the presidential nomination,
you have to wrap up.
Yes, even though they've taken a lot of the time. If they are talking about the vice presidential nomination, you know what they are doing? We know that they are waiting for the NDC to announce our running mate. That is what they are waiting for. It has nothing to do, apart from the fact that he nominated someone and they said, no, you cannot do what you want to do. The other reason is that they are waiting for us to announce our running mate. And that is why they will repeatedly say that the NDC is changing. If you ask my opinion, it won't make any sense for the NDC to change the running mate we use for the 2020 elections. It won't make any sense. I am not the appointing authority. President Mahama determines who he appoints or nominates as his running mate through the consultation of the various, stakeholders, the party, the executives, and others. I am speaking as Mutala. Me. Yes, I am speaking as Mutala and a participant in the NDC's business. That it will be suicidal if we change the prof. Because we have seen and we have heard others who are dangerously lacking and influencing people to push President Mahama in a way, and when I say push, to psychologically prepare his mind to wanting to change the running mate we use for the 2020. And some of the names you hear are absolutely ridiculous. Look, I'll tell you one thing. Some have even argued that what did she bring? How many seats did we win in Central Region? Sana, the NDC used to suffer a lot support of those in the middle class and those in academia. If you observed, a lot of people within the middle class and academia used not to like the NDC. That has changed. And you cannot downplay the role one President Mahama played as someone, his demeanor, the kind of relationship he had, and the role that Professor Nana played. You cannot downplay it. And so those who are arguing and saying that how many seats do we win in Central, that's absolutely rubbish. The reason why the MPP is struggling to get another professor and a woman from academia to come and be the running mate of a disaster Dr. Bawumia. If the woman never contributed, if her running mateship to President Mahama never made any impact, I don't think that the MPP would have been looking for a woman and also someone in academia to come and run. And one of the reasons, and I'll conclude on this, the reason why the MPP is struggling to get a match is because when it comes to President Mahama and Dr. Bawumia, the dichotomy is too wide. One, Dr. Bawumia is a pathological liar. President Mahama is not. Two, Dr. Bawumia doesn't know what he's talking about. He's not a man of himself. He's not a man of his own. President Mahama is not. President Mahama is not an economist. Ask President Mahama about everything when he was the president of Ghana, and now he understands everything from archaeology to zoology, everything about his government. It means that he had absolute control of what he was governing. He knew, and he could tell you anything. And I remember as a deputy minister for trade, we had intermeetings with President, and I was shocked the kinds of things President Mahama even knew when we didn't even give him briefing on some of those things. It means that he followed how his administration was indeed governed. This you can't find under President Nana Dr. Bawumia. Last point. They can't find anything to tag Professor Nana. Nothing. They can't accuse her for anything. So they can't, you remember even in the elections, a lot of the lies they told about President Mahama. They said President Mahama and the wife had hotels in Dubai. What are the hotels? Absolutely lies. All the lies they told about President Mahama, it's been proven that they were lying to the people of this country. They could not find one lie to tell against Professor Nana. They could not. And because they could not, they are now desperately looking for someone who could match Professor Nana. I think that, for me, whether they appoint someone from, what's the name, Kosomokaya, whether they decide to go and bring the Pope, or they decide to go and bring the chief imam from Saudi Arabia, or they decide to go and bring whoever to partner Dr. Bawumia, the mess is a mess. Okay. And that is why there is a popular Dagbani proverb that you cannot sleep with an itching anus and do not expect to wake up with smelling fingers. So Dr. Bawumia is like an itching arms. Whoever the partner with him, it doesn't matter how celebrated and respected that person is. They wake up the next day with smelling fingers.
Thank you, comrade. Jibril Agwesi Amenu says the only person that has the potential to move Ghana forward at this moment is John Dramani Mahama. Alan, having contributed to the mess we currently find ourselves in, cannot want to ride on our anger to cut deals with this MPP, just like the former MP did. As for Bawumia, no need to waste my energy commenting on his incompetence. Thank you for that message. Well, this is Michael Flu says the Akufo-Addo chose Bawumia to lead the MPP into the 2024 general elections. Is clearly stated in the Japadia document of the Mafia. The document stated that they should sideline the Asantes and choose a Northerner to protect Nana Akufo-Addo's legacy and achieve the Japadia will. Thank you for that message. Then this one is from Pina Kuro Hamza in Nima. Says, don't you think the devilish stone Nanado brought to this country is causing the killings of Ghanaians since 2020 by our own military and police? Have you heard Bawumia speak about these atrocities? He and Nanado supports these Zionist killings. Thank you very much for that message. And thank you for sending in those messages. I believe today is the birthday of Frimpong Idunya. I believe so. I'm not so sure. I believe today is the birthday of Frimpong Idunya. Friends, if today is your birthday, happy birthday to you. I just know that myself, you, and Nancy were all born in December around the same. Yours came earlier. I believe today is your birthday. Happy birthday to you. And then happy birthday to the Honourable Member of Parliament, I think for North, is in South Dying. My good friend Roxy Nelson. Happy birthday to you.
Actually, he's actually going to make history. Okay. He will be the first MP or the first person or the first MP to contest the elections there for 3 terms. Since 1992, the furthest any MP has ever, gone for that seat had been 2 times. So
and he too has a birthday.
And he's going for his birthday.
And congratulations to Joseph and Joyce. Joseph and Joyce tying the knot today at the Presbyterian Church of Ghana Bethel Congregation, Ola Estate in Cape Coast. Joseph and Joyce, congratulations to you. And thank you very much for making time to join us on the Mother of All Talk Shows, Alhaji and Alhaji today. We are back same time next week with another edition of the show. Until then, enjoy the rest of your weekend and have a fruitful week. Let me say a big thank you to my crew, Dion Hubert, who is director, actually, my producers, Tijani and Irabina, and also a big thank you to Ruben, who does a lot of research for us, and a big thank you to Titi, who is in charge of sound. Today, I think it was not Titi. A big thank you to the crew. We are back. Take care.
He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer.